As I was saying, I'm not trying to. I just want to give you the basis of where I'm coming from as an individual and why I gravitated towards MGTOW. So, so I had naturally started rebelling in high school.
I just hit the live. Do you want to hit that? Do you want to just tell me that what you just told me
Yeah,
before about going to school and stuff?
yeah, I was a good kid, didn't do drugs, straight edge, wouldn't even. I mean, I remember, this. I went to everybody. Roller skating was big in the '80s, like,
It
and
was still fun in the 90s.
yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if I could do it now, but anyway, a girl like was like that I was kind of had a crush on in middle school. God, she was like 13. We were like 13 or 14 years old, and she's like, "You want to drag off my cigarette?" And I took what I and I almost had a panic attack. I was like, "Ugh, drag off a cigarette." That's how straight edge I was. You know what I mean? Like I was a total geek, which it shouldn't be that way. Like it worked against me, but in our society, the moral the moral the morality of our country has slipped so bad that being straight edge worked against me socially. But anyway, that's a whole nother, I'm getting off on a divergent. The teacher, what the point was, I was a good kid. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't a bully. But when certain things didn't make sense or weren't fit or things weren't like they were abusing their authority with me a lot of times, I would speak up, and that got me in trouble, and that landed me in detention, and then I started having disagreements with teachers, but I had no power, and it made school a horrible experience for me, and they did just about everything they could to get me to basically get me to. I basically dreaded being there, and it just I don't know, man. It was a horrible experience for me, and they ruined my life with it.
This
Meanwhile,
is high school.
it started in about middle school, but then into high school, okay, I'm just giving you an example. I would be sitting there, I would be behaving, and the whole class would be in uproar around me, and people throwing paper at each other and spitballs or whatever, and the teacher would come in and be like, "Sit down," and he'd be like, "That's it. Everybody has detention." Basically, it's called authority. I found this out later. That's called authoritarianism when you punish everybody just across the board. And I got sick of that shit, like missing the bus and walking home in the rain. So I challenged my biology teacher. I said, "No, I'm not staying for detention. I'm not missing my bus. I wasn't misbehaving. I was sitting here quietly." And this was towards the end of the day when I saw the clock tick, and I got up and this was like one of my first acts of rebellion with my biology teacher, and he just and I started walking to the door, and he got right up in my face and tried to intimidate me, screaming at the top of his lungs with his face turning bright red, and I didn't care. I knew he couldn't really do anything to me physically, because it's not like it's the 1930s and you could just whoop my ass in front of the class, right? You know what I mean? So I just was like, "Nope, see you later, I'm going home," and I walked out the door, and then bang, detention, and then in-house, basically it was like stuff like that started. Like one time I was talking with somebody, and I was sitting on the heater, and I forgot we weren't supposed to be sitting on the heaters, and the teacher was yelling to me, but I was really engaged in conversation, and there were students around me. If there was noise going on around me, and I didn't hear him, and he acted like I was being defiant, and he finally came up. Somebody was like, "Stuart, teacher's trying to get your attention over there. I was like, what? And he was like, get out. He was like, come on with me. You're not supposed to be on the heaters. And he like grabbed my ear and dragged me out. And I was like, get your fucking hands off me. You know what I mean? I was like defiant. You know what I mean? I was like, don't touch me. Like, don't ever do that to me. And then I eventually got to the point where they'd bring me in the principal's office, and I would just say to the principal, I'd be like, listen, man, whatever you're going to say to me, I don't care. Nothing, not one thing you say matters to me. So you might as well just shut the fuck up, basically. Not one thing you say matters to me. And so they eventually, the whole staff and the whole school just brought me in. They're like, well, we're going to hold you back, and your attendance is bad. Because I started skipping class. I hated it so much. But I was a smart kid, and I was a good kid. And then now I meet all the kids that were partying, that graduated, that were all partying and going to keggers and dying in car crashes, and they're all drug addicts now. I see them looking for crack cocaine on the side of the road. None of them have done anything with their lives, but they got.
You're not wrong.
They got stopped. No, no, not one of them's in the news for it. No, literally none of them have done anything with their lives. I don't care. All their speeches on they're going to go change the world and blah, blah, blah. I see them all. I hear about them overdosing in the paper and dying. I let one kid in my house that I went to high school with, and he turned out to be a horrible crackhead. I had to kick him out. He was, oh, dude, I was finding his spoons around where he was cooking. I got my LTCs cooking crack in my house. You understand what I'm saying?
You can't mess around with crackheads or needle users.
Oh, no doubt, man. I was like, see you later. And then another friend, coke. Everybody's on drugs in this country. Another dude I let in cocaine. His girlfriend beating on him, but then he pushes her off him. She calls the police. You know what I mean? And she kicks him out. He ends up at my place. He's doing coke and going back to her while he gets a restraining order. It's incredible. Just like, he's got drama with his girlfriend and drugs. My point is these are people that graduated high school and I didn't. Okay. These are people that graduated high school and I didn't. And then around 25, I started to really realize that women could pretty much get away with anything.
All right, hold on. Let me before we get into that.
Yeah.
Let me.
What do you want to talk about?
Let me cue up the people in the chat. So this is MGTOW Misfit. We actually Mike Hart, if you're familiar with his channel, he made a video beefing with some MGTOW stuff, and I commented, and I'm, anyone who watches me knows I'm not really into that. And so MGTOW Misfit and I kind of started squabbling at each other, but then ended up here.
I was a little cynical. I was a little
very cynical, which is sort of the foundation of MGTOW.
I'm jaded. I'm the first one to admit I'm jaded, man. I'll get more into it, but go ahead. Yeah.
But so anyways, we don't have a topic. This is completely impromptu. I've never spoken face to face with a MGTOW person because they're always sort of taking shots from the sidelines.
I think we might be infiltrated by people that really want to make us look bad.
Well, you are all very cynical, and that's my whole issue.
Definitely. I'm a little bit bitter. I'm a little jaded from this world. I'm not okay. Like, how liberals talk about how the country's evil and America's evil, right?
We're both white men. We did it.
Okay, well, and white men are okay. Well, I don't agree with the liberals on why the country is evil, but I definitely agree with them on that this country is absolutely. It set me up for failure. Definitely, this country has totally set me up for failure.
Our institutions are. I mean,
they're run by leftists.
Once people realize that the news is just what rich people want you to think, and the schools are just teaching you to do what rich people want you to do. Once people realize how contrived everything in our institutions are, I think that's a huge eye opener for people. And I keep like trying to flick people's eyes open, but they really don't want to.
Well, I tried to go around it. I'm not a slouch, so I got my GED and I just started going to college. I was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to go to college. So I went right. I didn't even really have to. I mean, I did a little bit of studying, but I basically just was like, boop, just took the test, got my GED. And I started going to college. And like I said, around 24 or 25, I started to notice that I started to notice like this. Okay, we're going back to like the 90s now. I started noticing the political correctness setting in, and I started to notice like okay, like I started to think about my past and how like so many of my friends, their mothers divorced their fathers. Not luckily, not me. My parents are still together, but so many of my friends, their mothers divorced their fathers for almost pretty much no reason. And the fathers were demonized. I had one.
There's no way that you could know that really though. As a kid?
No, I didn't. I just knew that like later on, these kids, like what some of my friends moved in with their fathers after the mother couldn't get benefits for them anymore and kicked them to the curb at 17, 18. Who did they go to? Their fathers. And then they found out, oh, their fathers were decent guys and their moms were absolutely nuts. One guy I know won't let his mother meet his grandkids. She'll never meet her grandkids. That's how much resentment he has. This is the kid I told you. I was walking home with this kid. He was a black kid from the west side
Of where? If you don't mind.
my town. Yeah, of my town.
Like East Coast, West Coast, Midwest.
New England, and small town, fairly small town, a big small town. Caught somewhere in between. I live in a city that's caught somewhere between a small town and a being a city. You understand?
Fill up your gas tank. The East Coast got hit. The pipelines got hit with the.
I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been stocking up on other stuff. I might as well stock up on gas. The problem is they put stuff in the gas now, so it doesn't. You can't store it for very long, like a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these post-apocalyptic movies fail in that area where they don't talk about how the gas would be no good because they put ethanol or whatever it is they put in it. So
I didn't know that fucked it up because I've got gas cans. Like I've got a little.
Look into it. Yeah, they put something in it. That's why it goes bad so quick. Like it used to be you could find a truck sitting around for 20 years and it would start up with the gas that was in it because the gas lasted, but they're putting something in it. So my father told me that. So I started telling my parents all this. I was like, Mom, I don't think you realize, man.
How old? You're about 25?
Well, I'm about 25 and I'm back from college and I went out and tried to do the whole work and go to college. So you got to imagine I was making.
For what? What'd you go to school for?
I went to school for visual arts. I wanted to be an artist.
Did you draw that Wolverine?
Yeah, I did right there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give you my sort of background. I also had issues keeping my mouth shut. Yeah, that is real good. For sure, the best X-Man.
Yeah, he's awesome. Huh? I think he's gay now. Speaking of the liberal leftist control,
no, he's not.
They're even ruining our. Yeah, I think they're making him gay or something like that now.
Yeah.
I'm joking, man.
I always thought Cyclops was the gay one.
Let's not get off on that.
We all know Cyclops is the gay one. So I had a lot of the same experiences when I got in shitloads of detentions in high school and had similar but kind of different issues with authority. I could play the game a little bit better. It sounds like you would stand on principle and go down with that ship, and I would not do that. I would try to find a strategy, learn the rules to the system and then catch them in that. But I went to a Catholic Jesuit high school, got in a lot of trouble. I was out partying, do have a criminal record, did go to rehab a few times, did, like I mentioned, we were talking earlier, divorced my ex-wife, and I've got sole custody of my 11-year-old daughter now. I got sole custody when she was 1.5 when I filed for divorce. And then when she was 6, my house got raided and I got arrested. I lost sole custody to her mom. A year and a half later, I'd gone through the court system again and gotten her back. And gotten out of that sticky legal situation. So, yeah.
My nephew basically got sole custody, but he still had to spend thousands of my parents' money in court. And this is kind of like what I'm talking about. First off, she almost threw him in prison. Basically, they broke up. He broke up with her because he found out she was dealing drugs. She's on record. This is my point. She has a record, but and his record was like mine. I'm from a good family. I'm telling you, I'm from a good family. So he was basically he's basically a lot like me. He took after me because his mom was I kind of, how do I explain this? Okay, my sister was kind of a black sheep who was partying because she's a good-looking female, a petite female with black hair and blue eyes.
She got Facebook?
Yeah, she's on Facebook.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. So anyway, my sister's out. Even though my sister had a great upbringing there's no way she can have daddy issues because my father was a great father. She's out partying and hanging out with with basically druggies and pill heads. This is the 80s, doing designer drugs. Everyone was doing pills, and she's out. And then eventually she starts hanging around with pretty much the most violent man in town that I know. So I'm like 14, 15 years old, and my sister's dating multiple repeat aggravated felons. She liked to date guys. So I'm 2 years younger than her, and she's dating guys that are like, 4 or 5 years older than her with criminal records. So I'm like very intimidated by these guys. And my sister is also like, it takes two to tango. My sister is also basically, agitating these men, running around, cheating on them, yelling at them, screaming at them. So they're smacking her around. My sister's coming home with her face broken and shit like that. You know what I mean? Her eye socket shattered. And I'm like, hey, so I'm like, brainwashed that in America you stand up for yourself. And I'm like, hey, let's grab our guns and go get this motherfucker. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, shh, no, you're going to go to jail.
Now it's premeditated, man.
Huh?
Now it's premeditated. That's what I'm talking about. You got to play with the system.
Yeah, no, see, I don't like having to be sneaky though. So I like to do things out in the open. Anything to me that is done in the shadows is evil. So basically, but then I was a smart kid. Because I could have, I plotted. Basically, one guy had her up against the wall one night, and it was dark out, and he didn't know it. And I was like 30 feet away with my recurve like fully drawn, like just aiming right at him. And he was like had his hands around my sister's.
That would be a terrible way to go.
I was just all like waiting there. I have tons of archery trophies, and I'm just waiting. It was like an easy shot. He was like right there. Hope I would, I guess I was going to risk hitting my sister to kill this guy, but he let go of her and he went in the house, and I was just all like, like that, and I just walked home, but and he like passed out drunk or whatever, but just stuff like that. That's the type of stuff. So I started to notice that it wasn't just my sister. There were tons of girls like this. My sister was running around in packs of girls like this.
With packs of guys like that, though.
With
It's
packs,
not even a gender thing. It's just a shitty
no, but
people
the guys
thing.
were the only ones getting in trouble. The guys were the only ones getting in trouble, and everything was being projected onto. She got full custody of her kids, even though she's running around with dangerous people doing drugs, and so I took the time to mentor my nephew, and so he took after me. He was straight edge, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke cigarettes, none of that. So
They make you look cool.
yeah, so he's in court, so he gets in a fight with her, and and she basically, or he's like, I'm leaving, or okay, she kept. This is what he did. I warned him about all this stuff, and everyone's like, Stuart, shut up, you don't know, you're just. So I warned my parents about all this stuff, and then my nephew starts messing around with a girl. I'm like, and I tell my nephew, if she, just remember, nobody's telling you this, but if a woman says you did something, you did it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if a woman says you did something. That's
not true. That's not been my experience.
No, it is. It is true. You can fight in court and everything, but you're gonna probably be in court fighting if a woman says you did something, even if.
Oh, my ex-wife said everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's abusive. He's drunk. He's on drugs.
Right.
Just everything. And my lawyer said he said you have a non-amicable divorce, and every divorce, that's what the women say, and so judges are used to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want them to be used to it. I want them to hold the women accountable. So.
Well, that would be. All right.
So yeah, well, kangaroo courts are the reason that our founders got their guns out and started shooting at people eventually. So getting dragged off to kangaroo courts. So anyway, with no juries, basically a tribunal with the woman that hates you, and a judge that's making money sitting there on his high horse. If you get in between him and his kids, he'll probably have someone kill you. So
that is the thing about civil court, though. You request the judge to resolve it for you since you can't do it. If we could do these things ourselves,
but if you don't request the court and you start messing around with these women, they can once again call the police and say you're harassing them, and the police will say, listen, I understand, and you can't see your kids, but go to fucking court and we'll fucking kill you. Do you fucking understand? So anyway, that's the police.
I filed for
we understand. We know. Oh, you can't see your kid. Yeah. But go to fucking court and have a judge deal it, or we'll fucking kill you. We catch you here, we'll fucking kill you. That's the police now.
I'm not a fan.
They don't even enforce the Constitution anymore. They don't even enforce the Constitution. If I was the local sheriff, I would see ghettos full of mothers, single moms with 2 or 3, 4, 5 kids from different dads, and all these men in jail, and I would go down and I would arrest the judge, and I'd say, I think you're I think you're trafficking children, and you're under color of law, and you're getting all the men out of the family and letting the women just raise them in ghettos with having strange men around them.
Well, he's creating repeat customers for the criminal justice system.
Right.
I mean, it's the whole racket.
Yeah. So why can't I be sheriff? Because I'll stop it right away. I'll when he tries to throw guys that I know are good men in jail, I'll just let him out. What's the judge going to do about it? I'll be like, yeah, get your shit, get out of here.
I think that you have to be immoral. You have to be an immoral person to be a cop. You might not be a shitty person of your own accord, but if you're gonna enforce these laws that are harming people for having addictions or for being poor, they're just not solving crimes.
So I don't want to sit here and say I'm perfect and say I'm a little angel, because I haven't done everything right in my life, right? I haven't done everything correctly either. I'm not an angel. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely don't deserve what's been done to me. Okay. So here's my issue. So around 35, I was about done trying to find wife material anymore. Cause, you know, and I was about, I don't know. I basically, it's hard to explain. I was like, well, uh, I'm going to have kids because, one way or another. And I was kind of with this girl and we were, I wasn't like really, I wasn't trying to get her pregnant, but I wasn't being real safe about it either because I was just like, I doubt we're going to have, I'm going to find a wife. And I said, but I'm going to continue my legacy. I was like basically saying it's not my fault that women are subsidized to keep men out of the home in general now. And so
That
they,
is quite a cynical attitude to
so,
go into that with.
huh?
You're already cynical.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, exactly. You know, well, you know, I wanted to have kids, and I was pretty much like, well, I'm probably going to
And
have
condoms
kids.
suck.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to just have some kids. I'm going to pop some kids out. So I did, but I didn't know it yet. Here's the deal. I hook up with this girl, and I'm with her about a month or so, and then I start to notice some pretty bad red flags, and which later, this is what I'm talking about. Same with the girl. Same with the girl that my nephew had a. Oh yeah, I already got off track with that. Back, you know, I'll get back to that in a second. But let's get on to the main topic because I ain't got all night. So, so basically, around 35 or so, yeah, this girl that I was with for a short amount of time, I was basically kicked out, or like I was on the fritz, nowhere to live. Uh, Came back from college, got in an argument with my parents. Like ran out of money to go to college, couldn't find a job, and had a couple liberal professors giving me a hard time, and I was like, so now once again, it's hard to explain, man. I don't want to get into all the details of that, but I came home pretty much on my ass, you know, no college degree. My parents were pissed off at me, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. So I was living in the street, and then I hooked up with this girl. I was living with her for a little while, and we were having sex. And then I started to, like I say, notice some pretty bad red flags about her. Like she was pretty much really lazy. Uh, um, uh, and then was going out, and then started going out, getting really drunk, coming home fucking shit faced at 3 in the morning, you know, and just laying on her back. Sorry if I'm swearing on your channel. And
Oh, I don't give a shit.
And spreading her legs and going, F me, you know what I mean? And I was just all like, it's like 3 in the morning. I got to be to work in, you know what I mean, a few hours. And I'm just like, no, sorry. So so she kicked me out.
Because
But
you wouldn't fuck her?
yeah, but the night before, but that night while she was out, an old friend of mine stopped by, and he was like, do you even know who you're with right now? And I was like, no. And he was like, dude, you need to like get out of here, man. He was like, my sister was friends with this chick, and they used to just like go to parties and go in the bathroom and like pull up their skirts and let every guy at the party like run a train on them basically. And I was like, and he was like, dude, she basically had sex with a German Shepherd at a party one night in front of everybody.
That's
I was like, you are kidding me. So these women, and then he told me, yeah, she has like already had multiple kids with guys, and like she doesn't let any men see their kids, man, like at all. And it just so happened she came home and kicked me out, and I was like, fine, see you later. But I didn't know she was pregnant. And
no.
and I
No.
didn't find out she was pregnant until these are the women that are out that are allowed to run around out there and just keep
Ashbite says she thinks you're just surrounded by shitty people.
and the judges just keep giving them babies and don't at some point and say, listen, I'm going to give the dad the kid this time and give him all the benefits, and you're going to pay child support, you stupid whore. So anyway, my point is I run to another girl who liked me, who was really pretty, just drop dead gorgeous's house. And she takes me in, and she had a crush on me, and then and we end up getting engaged and then married. And then she also has a case because you know, half the goddamn girls in town have cases now with CPS. It used to be just for poor people, but now it's for pretty much the middle class too. And so,
well, it's an industry just like anything else.
right, and I'm sick of it. And I
Yeah,
want
it's really is bullshit.
teach me this into school until I was caught in it like a meat grinder, is what I'm trying to tell you. So her caseworker is like, your husband is so and so, and she's like, yeah, and she's like, you tell him that he has 2 kids. She just knew off the top of her head when she heard my ex-wife say my name. I'll get into my ex, well, why I divorced her too. So she, and this is just typical stuff. I can tell you 100 stories. It's not just me. I can tell you 100. I know a guy right now who's homeless.
Well, you're in the
I know
club.
a guy who's right now homeless. His wife's already been beat up by the police because she threw a fit one night. But when she put her hands on him, now he's in court, you know, and now, you know, it doesn't matter that the police even beat her up, you know, just because she said he's bad, he's in court, and he had to admit, dude, this happens all the time. I know 5. There's 3. There were at one point there was 4 guys in this.
But is that a problem with women? Is that a problem with women, or is that a problem with police and the courts?
Right. I want, and so when are men going to do something about it?
Why is it a man problem? Sounds like you're surrounded by shitty people in general. Sounds like law enforcement.
No, you just said it's the police and the courts.
The police and the courts are the problems.
It's not a personal problem. That's called systematic. That's called systemic, is the word for that. It's systemic. The police, I don't feel sorry for these police because they're having to beat up and restrain and kill all the kids that they're keeping away from the fathers, and and letting the mothers brainwash that father. You know what happens to kids that are raised without these? They know what they're doing. It's job security.
They do know what they're doing. Good. They do know what they're doing. But women shouldn't be in that position.
BLM succeeds and there's no police. Hooray! I'm going to go see my kid. I hope nobody gets in my way.
Well, women shouldn't be put in that position where they have to raise a family on their own. There's a whole systematic problem. Everybody's the victim in it. The men are in jail. The men are slave labor, stitching together Walmart or McDonald's uniform.
So I wanted to be a part of my kid's life, and they did everything to stop me. What are you talking about? They tried to do everything they could to stop my nephew and protect his drug addict girlfriend, who also she already tried with women they act like something they did never existed in the next case. She already got caught trying to throw him in jail. The only reason you have no idea. They were going to throw my nephew went to her house because she was hanging on to his expensive equipment, his phone, his $90 phone, and all his gaming equipment and everything. And I told him, don't go. So he goes. And then he's like, so can I just see my stuff really quick? They're hanging around. He's trying to, he played her basically, got his stuff. And as soon as she came in with his stuff, he grabbed it. And he was like, okay, I got to go. See you later. So on his way out the door, she grabbed him and started choking him. And so he had his hands full and didn't want to put his hands on her. So he just starts screaming help throughout the whole projects where she lives. And so, and I tried to warn him about this stuff, and my parents were like you. Oh, you just got a bad attitude, this, that, the other. So anyway, so he gets out of her. I think she got the stuff away from him or something, but because he had to get away from her, and he gets out the door, and then he goes around the side of the house and he tries knocking on the window, and with his luck, the window just happened to be fragile and it broke.
Bullshit. So the police bullshit on that. No. There are no windows that fragile that you just.
Listen. you don't even know what happened. I'm not done with the story yet.
I mean, that part of the story doesn't hold.
You won't let me finish the
I've
story.
knocked on a lot of windows.
Yeah, no doubt. He said he went like this on the window, and for whatever reason it broke and it cut his hand. So he was like, "Damn it!" So it looked bad. The police showed up, and there was a broken window, and his hand was all bloody. So he told me the whole story, and I took him at his word.
Well,
and
I don't understand why.
You're not going to let me finish the story.
Are you going to tell me why you're taking it? Are you going to tell me why? Are you going to?
Because she admitted she lied in court at the end.
She admitted that he knocked on the window and accidentally cut his hand.
He admitted that you're not. She called the police, said he attacked her. So the police came. They show up. Like I said, it looked bad. He had blood all on his hands. There was a broken window. So they hauled him off. We bailed him out, and I got him a private investigator. Or I told my mother, get him a private investigator, because I was pretty much educated on this stuff. And I got out of trouble with a private investigator, with a woman who lied about me. So basically when the private investigator interviewed her, she said she told the private investigator to his face, "I was angry and I lied, and I said that he attacked me and called the police." So then it came to court, and I'm like, she's not going to go in court and say she lied. Lucky for him, with the jury there, because I was already going around town telling everyone, if I'm not going to say exactly what I was saying now, because it's over now, and thank God they didn't throw my nephew in prison. But I was going around saying, if the DA throws my nephew with no criminal record, who's done nothing wrong in prison, I'm going to start a revolution right here in this town. It's going to be in the paper, and everyone's like,
revolution will never get anywhere if you keep telling people about it beforehand.
And everyone's going, shh, you're going to get in trouble. And I was like, no, I don't want them to be able to come out after the fact and say I was crazy. I want everyone to know that they're throwing my innocent nephew in prison beforehand. I want to be loud and boisterous about it, and I'm not going to stand for it. It's going to end really badly for everybody. So anyway, and I was going to keep my word for that. So I was like, I couldn't even shut up about it. My friend was having me help do some lady's pool in the backyard, and I'm gonna the DA fucking motherfucking, and the lady hiring us is standing right there, like, and so anyway, it comes that day, and the one piece of evidence that got him off, because she wouldn't show up to court, is the jury heard the cassette from the interview that the private investigator took, and where she admitted that she lied and called the cops and said all this. So he's the first male that I know that has walked completely, that I've got girls to lie right in court. I've when I had my chance to speak, and and even though I've gotten them to basically gotten them to contradict themselves right in front of a judge, I've gotten what's it called? Continued without a finding. You know what I'm saying? Which means stay out of trouble for so long, and then this will go away. He got a complete innocent finding, and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord Jesus, because if they threw my nephew in jail, I was gonna basically snap, and that was gonna be the end of that for everybody. So anyway, so this same girl
also had an innocent finding, for the record, outside of the, not anything to do with my ex-wife or whatever, but against a woman, I was in court defending myself. I was gonna kill her, and said I was gonna kill her. Basically, it's a bigger story than that, but basically, my point is that I've also won in court.
She probably pissed you off. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. These women.
I'm not like you. I don't televise things.
Okay, I'm not saying the men shouldn't fall for it, but these men psychologically know that a woman can destroy a man, like on it, like, you know what I mean? It's getting to the point in some countries now, you can't, if you stare at a woman, she can basically call the police on you.
Well, I
Basically,
mean, in some countries, a woman can get stoned to death for being raped. So
yeah.
really, I think
I hear that, but I've also talked to some Muslim MGTOW that say a lot of the stuff they tell us about what goes on in the Middle East is just garbage to make us hate
I believe that.
the Muslims, because women are pretty much like, he says Islam is kind of like same as like, like basically Islam doesn't reflect what goes on in every single home in the Middle East. It's just it's a general thing. He said, but he said, go mess with their women. They're a protected class. They'll kill you, basically. So, yeah.
And we do get a lot of propaganda because we got all the wars going on over in the Middle East, so we gotta have the bad guys be fake bad guyish,
Yeah. So my point is now my parents are like, okay, your ex-wife on her way out the door tried to say you hit her. I did get up and I got up in her face and was like, and like yelled at her.
You threatened her.
Yeah, I didn't even threaten to hit her. I just was like, I was like, you're a fucking drug addict and you're a piece of shit and blah 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 blah. I just gave her a piece of my mind, and she called the police, and the police were like, the police were ready to kill me. They were. He was like, sit down. I was like, I don't have to sit down, and he was like, sit down now, like that. And I knew that he was gonna.
They want to.
He was gonna beat the shit out of me, and this is what they're doing to men. And I was like, all right, I'll fucking sit down. Holy shit, man.
Well, they all think they're
no, dude. There's no reason for any of this shit, man.
For the cops?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
any of this shit.
Yeah,
all the men should be getting together, going, "Oh, they tried to take your kid. Oh, they tried to take my kid too. Oh, really? They tried to take Joe's. Oh, they took so and so's kid. Oh, yeah, she said he threatened her and got a restraining order. And all the men should be getting together in every town, in every county, and going down and saying, look, this is how it's going to be. Click, click. You're going to stay the fuck out of our business, or we're going to start smashing people's heads in down here. What do you think about that? How do you like them apples? That's what the men need to start doing in this country. The conservatives, I'm calling bullshit on them. They talk all day about, every time I bring this up to conservatives, like, oh, well, what about all the satanic lapdog police that follow the orders of these unconstitutional divorce and family courts with no juries, and they'll enforce it with violence.
The court has nothing to do with divorce, or a constitution has nothing to do with divorce.
The courts with no juries have a lot to do with the Constitution, and the police are supposed to take an oath they swear an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Yeah, and they don't give a fuck.
They get an order to violate the Constitution. They should be getting together and going, hey, what the hell? Like, what is wrong with the men in this country? I want to know. I want to know what is wrong. I'm not giving men a free pass. The women are basically a bunch of Jezebels now, and the men will not stand up to this, basically the engineered process that is creating this atmosphere. It's like a predator.
Because everybody's selfish and entitled.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I think everybody's selfish and entitled.
The conservatives are afraid to lose their fancy houses and their
conservatives aren't their rich people anymore,
and their couch and their giant televisions, I guess.
I think that stereotype doesn't fit anymore. The richest fucking counties in the country, it's the 27 of the top 30 richest counties are all blue. That paradigm has shifted, and the Democrats are the party of the elite anymore. I mean, both parties are the same thing, but whatever.
So I got, to the system's credit, that CPS came to me and was like, yeah, she lost custody of her kids for abuse. She was drinking, getting drunk, and leaving them in their car seats and shit. until their muscles atrophied. So we had to take them away. They had to get physical therapy and all this stuff. They were just infants. They were like 1 year old. So I was, and they were like, so I was like, well, now what? And they were like, do you want custody? So I was offered full custody straight out of my children. So I was like, I don't know. I got to talk to my wife because now because these women, this is what my point.
That was your bad. That's on you.
I didn't know she was pregnant.
I mean,
no idea she was pregnant.
Hold on. So these are your kids from before, and you're with a different woman.
Perfect.
Right. No, I'm just trying to get it straight.
I said I was married and found out while I was married that I had kids.
I found out I had older sisters recently.
So I'm trying to give the system credit here. So they offered me custody, and I was like, fantastic. And I talked to my wife, who already had 3 kids she was a widow. And because I don't, I'm not gonna like I respected that she was a widow and not like a divorced single mom.
Kill her husband?
No, I think she might have killed him actually. Now, in retrospect, I think she might have killed him. So anyway, I bring it up to her, and I said, so I got offered full custody of my children. Will you help me with them? And at first she said yes. And I was like, cool. So I started getting things ready. And then, because just out of nowhere, like a week later, she says, no, I got enough trouble. It's enough with my children. So no, I'm not going to help you. So I'm just like, oh, so I'm a Christian. And I'm thinking, so so do I break my vows? Do I break my vow to God, or do I, and get my kids, or do I keep my vow to God and not take my kids? This is the predicament I was in, and that's a tough predicament. So I told her, I was like, man, that's rough.
What's your nomination?
I'm not really with that. I guess I use the word Christian. I should say, I'm a so-called Christian. I was baptized in a Southern Baptist church, but I was raised Catholic, and I gave my life to Christ at 23, 24 years old in Arcata, California, in Humboldt County, Northern California, when I was going to college for art, and there were Christians on the campus, and I was turning back to God. I was getting away from evolution and science and all that, and getting back to my roots, which were God. But so I told
what
them,
about the second commandment?
Huh?
What about the second commandment?
Thou shalt not have
not Moses. Jesus said the 2 most important commandments were what?
Love thy neighbor and love thy God,
yeah.
Right?
Right. So MGTOW doesn't fit into loving your neighbor at all.
Yeah, love thy God with all thy heart or whatever, and I forget.
So how do you reconcile that Christian belief with the fact that MGTOW
with the real world where even Christian women, my sister's my Christian's a conservative Christian too, married at 50 with 2 kids out of wedlock. Yeah, she's a big, and I laugh at her all the time when she says she's conservative. All these conservative Christian women, I just say it like I see them on YouTube. I just say in the comments, "Oh, you're a conservative Christian woman. Tell me about the 7 kids you raised. Tell me how you've been married to the same man for 25 years and you've raised 7 kids." And I just get no answer because it's not happening anymore. No, I hear you, man. Trust me, I wasn't out there like, yeah, just sexing it up, trying to get laid. I would go years without getting laid and just be like, oh, I got to go on a date.
Well, that's
You know what I
probably
mean?
why
Oh,
you're
yeah,
cynical.
I was full of testosterone and hormones. Trust me, man. I could
3 days, you gotta get laid again. That's my
yeah. Well,
metric. I mean,
so
ideally it's daily.
I wanted marriage. See, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to do everything right, and it was just like whatever. As soon as I mentioned marriage to a female, I could be dating, having sex. As soon as I mentioned, hey, let's get married, the women would be like, marriage? What are you talking about? You know, I'm telling you, man. They'd get just they. I didn't have commitment issues, but all I ever heard was men had commitment issues, and then I was finding out no, it was basically women who have commitment issues. So so basically, point is I get one visit with my kids, and they're healthy and happy and everything. This is while me and my wife are making all the decisions and everything. So finally, I tell them, nope, my wife says no, and I got to honor my marriage. I don't know what to do. I got to honor my marriage. So I said, I guess try to adopt. So I had heard about women who had lost custody of their children for like overdosing on drugs and shit like that. Like my wife, like my ex-wife. And the same dude I told you that was staying here with a coke problem with restraining orders on his girlfriend and all this stuff. She also overdosed and they took her kids, and they were able to get the kids were adopted out and were in homes somewhere in the county, and these girls were still allowed visitation, right?
With their mom?
I didn't overdose. I didn't lose my kids for doing something bad. And when I said I'd like you to adopt them out, but I'd like to be able to still visit them, and they just said nope. You either it's all or nothing. And I was like, well, me and my wife are gonna fight. She's not gonna help me with them, so you're gonna have to adopt them out.
That's you decided to adopt them out. It sounds like, and I'm speculating here, but it sounds like their mom overdosed, fucked up, but then was still trying to get back into their life. People are allowed to fuck up. Kids, what was it that my lawyer said? The courts look at it this way: kids have a right to parents, but no guarantee of good parents. Everybody fucks up. So, I mean, it sounds like, I don't see a great injustice here. An unfortunate.
So I should never meet my kids.
No,
I should never meet my kids.
You should.
My kids should never know their family. That my Vietnam.
Let me suggest this. I'm trying not to be insulting. If you wanted to be part of your kid's life, you should have made that decision. You should have said,
"Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, man.
Well,
yet." So my wife.
Hold on.
My wife
you did decide to put them up for adoption.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
Okay. That was your decision.
Well, then rather than have her being drunk, laying around, leaving them in their car seats and not taking care of them until their heads are flopping around, they can't lift their heads. Yeah, that was my decision. I don't want them to be abused. How come she ain't in jail? I would have put her in jail. So anyway.
Then where would they be?
I would have put her in jail. And I would have said, no, you're taking them, Stuart. And she's going to pay you child support, or we're going to throw her in jail again, because that's what we do to the men. So anyway, yeah. Oh, don't worry. You don't have the finances. F your wife. She's a piece of crap. We're going to give you your kids. That's what I would say. So anyway, so basically so I'm going to fast forward because this is getting long-winded. She ends up cheating on me. We have a big argument. I scream in her face. She calls the police, says I hit her. I tell the police I'll just leave her alone for a week, let her get her shit together and get out. And or no, I told her I would leave her alone and let her get her shit together, but I missed her and went, but I missed her. This was a long time ago, but I missed her and went back. Then we had a huge fight. And she told me, and she called the police, said I hit her, and then I had a restraining order on me and all this stuff. And then, so I beat all that. I got a counter restraining order on her to make sure she would never come around me again. Caught her lying in court. Told the judge what was really going on with her bringing Hell's Angels over my house and saying she was going to have have him beat the shit out of my father and beat me and beat my whole family up and all this stuff. So he was like, you said that to him? And she was like, well, yeah, I'm glad she didn't lie. She was like, yeah, I said that. And I was like, oh, thank God she fucking admitted to that, because I thought she was just going to say she didn't. I don't know why she didn't lie.
She could have.
She totally could have. And the judge just looked at me like, okay, here's a restraining order for you on her for you, and blah, blah, blah. So, but anyway, on her way out the door,
that was a good moral action on her part, I would say.
I would say so. I don't know what came over her.
Maybe she grew a penis.
But she regretted it, because they tried to come back in. I went out in the hall, and her lawyer was all flustered, and she was all like, this guy right here, she was saying. And then they tried to bring it back in, and the judge was just like, no, you ain't turning that back around. I'm not changing my judgment. So, and I left. So anyway, but I can't remember at what point, but on the way out the door, when I last saw her, I think it was when I told her, I'll get the F out of here and leave you alone. I was like, I can't believe, I was like, I gave my kids up for you. And her and her daughter both just started laughing like witches at me. Basically, they're like, they loved it. They loved that. She loved that she tricked me into giving my kids up. And so, which is not a very moral act on her part. So my point being is, let's fast forward now. So now I don't know where they dragged me in court. They were like, oh, you got to pay. She got the kids back. They didn't adopt them out. She got the kids back.
She was trying to get the kids back.
Right, I would say. Exactly, of course.
Yes.
Well, yeah, she needs the paycheck. So she got.
Well, maybe she also loves her kids. Is that possible?
She's lost 5. I found out after the fact that she's lost 5 kids for neglect and abuse, and like her sister's raising like 3 of them. The only 2 that she has are the 2. No, the other fathers don't pay support. The only 2 kids that she keeps are mine, and I pay support religiously. So basically, this girl should be in jail. I don't care what anybody says. This girl should. I read her. So when I forgot to tell you that when she lost my kids for neglect, I was able to read her whole case file, and it was god awful. Her kid laying around drunk while her 2-year-old got caught playing up on the roof of her 2nd-story house, climbed out the window, 2 years old. One of the kids that her sister's raising now, Justin. So anyway, I was like, this girl's just out walking around. She should have a tattoo on her forehead that says psycho, basically. So that guy's I'm telling you. So anyway, so I don't know what. So all I know now is I'm paying support, and I don't even know where she lives. They wouldn't tell me. So they're just garnishing my wages. And I'm dating this girl, and she's like, oh, I know the mother of your kids. She's like, you want me to try to arrange a meeting with them? And I said, well, yeah. So she made a phone call, and twice I arranged a time to meet my kids. And both times at the last minute, when I called and said, okay, I'm ready, I'm coming over, she said, nope, not sorry, we're doing this or we're doing that. So both times she backed out. So now I'm getting frustrated, and I'm just like, whatever, she's going to just keep pulling this. I'm not going to do this. So years go by and I'm just paying support and I don't even know where my kids are or who's around them, if they're okay, what's going on. And finally I meet this girl who also turned out to be a fucking nutcase. These women are nuts, man. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm not, but as nutty as this girl turned out to be. In fact, my sister sent me a news clip of this girl that I'm about to tell you about. National news, like AP, or at least it was like national news, police looking for her, on the run, all this stuff. But as crazy as this chick is, she's the only person who ever heard my problem and offered to help me, and and she lied and told me she had all this legal. She turned out to be a total crazy nutcase, but she actually helped me. She said, all right, let's find her. Let's look on her. So we find her on social media and we find out where she works. And she goes, okay, the first move is you got to go down and get a subpoena. And I'll go with you to where she works and we'll serve it to her so she can't. Because by this point, I don't even trust her anymore. I don't want to, and I already know a bunch of guys who have already been in court fighting false allegations and restraining orders. So she came with me and I serve her the subpoena. Here you go. I want to visit my kids, and here's I want to see you in court. And we served her right at work in front of witnesses with this girl with me, and I got her into court. So she admitted in court that she lied to my kids for 14 years about who their real father was, and then she continued to disobey the judge's orders for basically 5-6 months. And he just kept going, oh, what you're doing is wrong, and you were supposed to bring the kids to a counselor. You were supposed to tell them who their father was. You haven't even told them who their father is yet. And the judge wouldn't do anything about it. You're telling me to fight in court. You want me to pay money for lawyers? I was representing myself because I don't have money and I'm done spending my parents' nest egg for this bullshit. I want men.
They're inflating it to shit anyway.
I want men to grow up and get together and go down and say, look, if I have DNA proves that a kid is mine, you're gonna fucking give me fucking custody of my kid,
and then we can fuck each other.
Unless I'm a child rapist or a child abuser on record. I don't care if I punch my wife in her fucking face. You're gonna let me see my fucking kids. So anyway. That's what I want the men to say to these goddamn sheriffs and these judges. So anyway,
I mean, it's not a good case.
So anyway, they keep dragging it out, and I'm talking. So anyway, they keep dragging it out. No, she's admitted to. I'm like, she's pretty much neglect. She lost my kids for abuse. She's lost several kids for abuse. Da 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 da. And I'm like, and you're just dragging this out. I basically told the mediator before the court here, before the hearing. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, let me get further into it. I just want to tell you exactly what happened. So if you are planning on trying to guide me through the court system, you know where it left off. Well, okay. Yeah, I want you to know where it left off.
I do want to. I want to talk about like kind of the conceptual shit about MGTOW, just the belief and shit. So I want to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to air any of your personal shit that you don't want to air.
Well, the world's got it. No, young men have to know this stuff because that's my point. Nobody. I understand there's some bad elements in MGTOW, and a lot of times I believe some of it's purposeful because dude, there. So okay, like as far as demonize, like I hear all these people, oh, you're demonizing women. No. It's men who are being demonized in the society, not women. It's men who are being. That's why I'm MGTOW.
Well, neither side should be demonizing either side. It's a lose-lose situation.
I'm the enemy,
and I've been demonized, and I demonized.
I'm the white devil. I've been suppressing. That's what I hear all the time. Well,
did you say anything bad about your ex in court?
No, when people know me, people who, dude. when people hear this stuff, they're like, well, the reason they do this is because men didn't want to take care of their kids a long time ago. Baloney, man. They put out all these studies in the past 30, 40 years about men where they didn't even interview any men. They just interviewed all women. I'm telling you, this is all by design. So, and it's evil, and it's got to be stopped, because the only, what's that saying? All that evil needs to spread is for
the indifference of good men,
for good men to do nothing. So, I am airing my personal. I even put my real name up for a while. I had people, oh, you're just an evil piece of crap and you hate women. Really? Really? Then I'm a really bad person. Why don't you come on over, sign a waiver, and we'll go in my backyard, and we'll take swords, and we'll fight to the death over it if I'm such a bad guy. Oh, well,
swords.
Yeah. Well, I don't like, I'm not a fist. If I fight, I want to kill, you know what I mean? I'm not into fist fighting. I want to eliminate I want to do like the guys did back in the old days. Oh, really? Well, here, take your weapon and get your weapon and meet me outside, and we'll end this debate for good. You're going to dude, men now just allow, all these men running around with their records ruined from false allegations, or women who, maybe basically all these men I know running around with their records ruined. You know what I mean? Like, I know guys just, basically almost any guy I talk to, that's ever had any kind of discrepancy, it just goes around town that he's a woman hater and a woman beater, basically. And
congratulations, you're talking to the first guy who's had the opposite happen.
Yeah. My point being is, back in the day, if you even tried to ruin somebody's reputation, people are like, oh, what does it matter what people think of you? Oh, really? In a small town where you need to be employed and get jobs, what does it matter what people think of you? It was very important to a man back in the day what people thought of him in his little tiny town. And if you started saying like, oh, you're just a woman hater and you're a piece of crap, he would be like, oh, I hate women? Oh, really? All right, well, grab your weapon and come on and meet me outside, and we'll settle this for good. You're going to try to ruin my reputation. And the men are just, I swear to God, just American males will put up with anything now.
Yeah, that's true. Men are pussies. Men are absolutely pussies.
Yeah, that's my problem with men. But it's not just MGTOW men; it's just men across the board.
No, but MGTOW is an ideology that embraces and self-identifies with that. It takes the locus of power and externalizes it. So this is happening to me. I'm a victim of my surroundings. Poor me. Well, man the fuck up.
Well, I'm not. See, I'm a victim of my surroundings. See, I'm more like the founders. I'm a victim of my surroundings, not poor me. Hey, what are we going to do about it, guys? What are we going to do about it? Oh, no, there's nothing you can do. That's just the way it is, Stuart. I got guys that argue with me that have shared custody of their kids, and they're perfectly happy seeing their kids 3-4 times a month for an hour.
Well, I know. I'm sure.
And when
you're a MGTOW guy, you're of course going to know you're in the support group. You're going to know people that have bad experiences all over the place.
Oh, dude, and then a week later, they're like, God damn it, Stuart. My wife's trying to say that because of COVID, I can't see my kids, so I haven't seen my kid. And then 6 months later, I still haven't seen my kids. So whatever, man. Like,
so what? Why is it?
It's just like the same. So the same guy that's sitting there telling me I'm overreacting and I need to go down and beg and plead with the judge like they did, so I can see my kids for a few hours a month if I'm lucky.
Here's my question though.
Yeah,
there are obviously there. Know a lot of people with bad experiences, and you've had, it sounds like, a hell of bad experiences. That's not universal.
There's sports in every town.
That's not universal. Not all men are having this experience. So what's the difference?
I'm sorry, what?
Not all men are having the same experience that you are having and your MGTOW homies are having. Some men get along great with women. I like women. I like women better than men. They're my favorite people.
I get along with my sister and my mom. I get along great with the women in my family.
So what's the difference though? Why are MGTOW men not able to make
my
that
nephew here too, so he can tell you how much my family's like my nephew basically has said to my family recently, like over this whole pandemic thing.
It's bullshit.
He basically said to my parents, because he's been watching this go on for like the past 20 years, like, aren't you guys sick of Stuart being pretty much right? And he pretty much he goes through this constant cycle of he talks about something, everybody isolates them and scorns them, and then he turns out right about that, and then something else, and then it's on to something else, and he speaks out about something, and everyone scorns him and isolates.
That doesn't answer my question.
So you know what I mean? I'm just saying it would be nice if you had my nephew here to verify all this for
I
you.
know, but maybe he would answer the question though. What's the difference between men who get along with women and women and men who don't?
I can get along. I can get along with women.
Well, you wouldn't self-identify as the MGTOW Misfit if you had good relationships with
courts and the police and the women basically as an aggregate, not crying about justice as guys like me. It's proven my kids are mine. Give me custody, please. I have no criminal record. She has the record.
Gave up custody.
She has the record, huh?
You gave up.
Oh no. So this is what happened. So let me continue. So we get in court, and I told the judge, I said, so I know I waived my rights to see my kids. And he said, and he was like, what did you say? I said, I waived my rights to see my kids. I gave him, and he went through the paperwork, and he looked and he looked and he looked. He said, there's nothing in here about you ever waiving your rights to see your kids. So they were bullshitting me. And I'm about to prove how they just change the rules as they go along. So listen to this. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So basically, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, oh, well, when I went to court, the mother wouldn't comply with the judge, like I was telling you she wouldn't do. And so me and my lawyer filed for contempt. And I was like, oh, so I have to file for contempt. The judge won't hold her in contempt. I have to file for contempt. So I went down there with this crazy lady I was telling you about, who turned out to be a psycho later. But like I said, she still helped me. This crazy bitch helped me more than anybody. I don't know. So anyway, so I went down and filed for contempt.
Well, where'd the crazy lady go? She sounds like the one that you're meant to be with.
Dude, man, that's a whole nother story.
All right, we better stick on.
No, we were intimate. She was a roommate for a while. I met her online, and then she's like, "Oh, I need a place to live, and I'm on the run, and my mother's trying to kill me, and all this stuff." And I was like, "What?" She was like living in a hotel room, but anyway, she did help me. She helped me see my kids. Were you on Craigslist? Basically, like, in the end, I won anyway. I broke her. She tried to keep my kids for me forever, and I got her in. I filed for contempt, and as soon as I filed for contempt, now the court starts taking me seriously. And they're like, okay, well, what do you want? So I got 3 visits. And I was like, oh, I was happier than ever. And then the third, so let me tell you this: on all 3 visits, she was late like 15 minutes. I had to sit there and wait and wait and wait and wait. There was like another lady there one time who was like going through the same thing, and I requested a mediator because I had that kid that was staying. I told you that the kid that graduated became a drug addict and was staying, you know what I mean? I had that kid at my house, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to bring the kids to my house because I was trying to get rid of him. I was trying to kick him out. and I basically didn't have, my house was not in order, and it kind of caught me off guard. You know, I wasn't ready for all of this. But either way, I requested.
Crackheads attract bugs.
Yeah, so I requested. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like one my friend I told you who's on the fritz right now, can't go see his daughter. He came over a couple times and was like, Stuart, your house is starting to feel kind of like a trap house. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm trying to get this MFer out of here. And I did.
Trying to get this copper wire out of here.
I was like, no, I got him out. So anyway, yeah, he was like, it's getting like, he's like, it's like the vibes are getting really, he's like getting really disgusting around here. So anyway, my point being is, the third visit I walked in, I'm going to tell you, I have no reason to lie about any of this. I walked in, the third time I was 3 minutes late, just 3 fucking minutes late because I don't have a lot of money. And I was cutting my own hair, and I was like, God damn it, it was looking shitty, but I finally got it worked out, and I ran out the fucking door.
You know, you got a compliment on your hair earlier, right when we started. I don't know, I put it up on screen. I don't know if you saw it, but you had a lady admire saying that you have beautiful eyes and something about your hair. So
thank you. So my point being is,
you might hate them, but chicks dig you.
My point being is, this lady, the mediator, who I'm trying to make the point, I wasn't some fucked up dad with a criminal record who negotiated supervised visits. I requested supervised visits so that I wouldn't have to put up with bullshit from the mom. In other words, if I was 3 minutes late, never hearing the end of it, and ending up back in the courtroom like, oh, he's late, and so I requested supervised visits. So I'm 3 minutes late, and all of a sudden the mediator's acting like my girlfriend. She's like, well, you're late. And I'm like, yeah,
mediators will think your ass.
I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, I'm a little late. She's like, well, if you're late again, no more visits. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, like, I don't know, she brought it up again. She's like, if you continue to doing this. And I was like, and all I did was like, listen, my kids have been alienated from me for 14 years. I was going to tell her I requested supervised visits, and she just was like, that's inappropriate. That's inappropriate. We don't talk about that in front of the kids. No more visits. No more visits. So now I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, okay, well, and I kind of panicked, and I was like, you guys want to at least, I was like, you want to at least, I didn't know if I was going to see him again. And I was like, you guys want to wait with me outside while she was like, get out of here now. And I was like, oh, I was like, you guys want to come with me and wait for your mom? And she was like, nope, the kids stay here. She was like, get out of here right now, or I'm going to call the police. So she was like, she was making my kids afraid of me.
No, she was just enforcing the rules of mediation. When we did mediation, it was the same way.
No, I disagree with those rules. Though my kids were 14, they're about to be men, and I should be able to say to them, yes, I'm not trying to attack the mom. I should be able to tell the truth in front of them, so that they don't.
You understand why the rules are there.
Ideas. They don't get any ideas that I didn't want to see them for 14 years. Right.
So you understand why the rules.
I'm going to fight for my kids. I'm going to stand up for my.
Okay, but think about the situation out of context of you. Make it not about you. You understand why the rules are there. They make sense for a lot of.
Well, and why was she able to be 15 minutes late without any?
I don't know. Take it away from you. This is not.
No. We want equality and justice. We want justice. We want men to be parts of their kids' lives.
We do.
So then why can the mom? We're not holding it all. We're taking it out of context here. I did nothing wrong. My ex took off with my kids, lied to them for 14 years, was in contempt for 6 months until I figured out what I had to do. And then and then the judge acted on my behalf. And then I'm 3 minutes late, and I should never see my kids again, or I should just shut up and not be like, listen, they're trapped. You want me to bow down to the child trafficker, and I don't care what that lady thinks. I don't care what that lady thinks.
then
She,
you don't if you don't care what she thinks and you know that she has power over your relationship with your kids,
should have no power over me and my kids. That's what
she's
I'm
a
talking
mediator.
about.
She does. She has a direct
No,
line to the
no,
judge.
no. She doesn't have power over me and over whether I see my kids or not. You're no.
Was it court
They're
ordered
my
mediation?
kids. No, they're my kids. I pay support for them. DNA proved they're mine. I should not have to pay these criminals one fucking dime. They should say that if I was a judge, I would have said, you lied to your kids for 14 years about who the real father. I'm telling you what wasn't done. Let's talk about what wasn't done. I can't be a judge because I would say you lied to your kids for 14 years about who their father was. You're under arrest. You have custody of the kids. You're gonna pay. You're gonna pay his family reparations. His father, his parents have never met their grandchildren. These kids, as far as I'm concerned, might be ruined. Their lives might be ruined. And I would say,
court sounds great. Like I would love to see you in court for a day.
Yeah, well, you won't see me in court because I won't because I'm not driven by money, by making money and profits and turning a profit.
You're driven by helping men get back in their kids' families, so that seems like a good motivation to become the judge you were always meant to be.
So I go back to court, and I'm ready to go back in. And another female, just the whole court full of women with just like the police station, or just like a lot of the police, almost all the courthouses now, it's like a couple old fat or yuppie guys with a bunch of women underneath them, or City Hall, not so much the police stations, but City Hall, courts, a couple old, old fashioned simps with a bunch of women working under them. I go to court, and the mediator because there's also a mediator that tries to always get you to resolve it before you go into the courtroom. So now I go into the courtroom, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, all right, and she's like, so the mediator looks at me, and she's like, so now it looks like we have a problem here, Stuart. She's like, she's like, apparently there was an incident with the supervisor, or with the mediator at the YMCA. And I was like, yeah, I had a disagreement with her. I disagree. I said, I understood I was late, but she wouldn't stop. She was talking to me like a child. I said it wasn't so much what I told the mediator. She was talking to me rudely like a child in front of my kids, and it was very disrespectful. And so I had a disagreement with her. And if she would have just said, "Hey, you're late. If you do it again, I might have to, end the visits," I would have said, "Okay." I'm trying to tell you, it was the tone in front of my kids that she was talking to me like a slave. You know what I mean? Like she was the slave master and I was the slave. And I was just like, no. Don't, you're not going to talk to me like this, but anyway,
your ego is this big.
I'm an American.
I mean, that's coming from someone with a big ego.
I was brainwashed that you do the right thing, and this whole country is based on truth and justice, and you do the right thing and you got nothing to worry about. So this is what happened. I looked at the mediator and I said, okay, it's been almost a year now. These kids are my kids. And she was like, oh, she basically said, I forget exactly. Before I said this, she goes, well, your kids are afraid of you now. And I was like, okay. I go, look, these are my children, and this has been dragged out for almost a year now. I don't have time to keep missing work. I don't have my employer's not going to let me miss work indefinitely. He's being nice right now. And I said, you're alienating my kids from me. I looked at her and the mediator right in the eye, and I said, and you got to stop abusing. I said, alienating a parent is abuse. I said, you guys got to stop alienating my children from me, just point blank. And the lady's eyes got like as wide as saucers. like with fear. Like, I think she thought I was going to do something. And she got up like this, like, and walked like way around me. I was like, okay, mediation's over. Like, she went like backed around me and wouldn't like turn. She like kept her face to me just because I said that to her. She got like, she was like paralyzed with fear because I told her, please stop abusing my kids. and so we walk out and we go into the room, and then the judge immediately takes issue with what I said to the mediator. He goes, well, he's like, I heard what you said to the mediator, and and he gave me a big speech. He went on and on and on. He's like, and it's not going to help your case if you lash out, Stuart. And I said, listen, and I said, well, and I was very polite. Hey, and I said, well, thank you for your advice, Your Honor, but I'm not lashing out. I'm just telling the truth. And his eyes got like he was offended, as you know what I mean? Same as her. He just was offended. And I basically gave him the spiel. I was like, look, they're my kids. I pay support for them. I don't have indefinite time. I said, your rules out in the hallway say not to fight over the kid, not to have, you have a list of rules of guidelines out in the hall that say not to have long drawn out court battles over children like they're material items. And I said, so you're disobeying your own rules. And I said, I just want custody of my own kids. My parents have never met their grandchildren. And I said, I'm not gonna. And he said, well, Stuart, so the same judge that told me, Stuart, there's no record of you ever waiving your rights to your kids. The same judge goes, well, Stuart, it says here, the same judge says, Stuart, well, right here, it says you waived all your rights to your kids.
Well,
and I said, well, I'm not going to fight over this forever. I don't have time. I don't have money, obviously, because I don't have lawyers. I'm representing myself. I'm going to hope you do the right thing. Because my parents would really like to meet their grandkids, and I'm just going to hope you make the right decision and grant me custody.
Your parents can make a grandparents petition.
And there are
grandparents.
And I walked out of the courtroom, got my stuff, and got a letter in the mail. No more visits.
Fucking bitches.
So there's that. So if I go see, so when I tell these right wingers, oh, really? You like the police? If I go see my children right now, and as is my right, because they're my kids and I have no criminal record and never done anything wrong, the police will be called and they will stop me. And if I, as is my right, use lethal force to defend myself and see my children, the police will kill me. They will kill me.
Yes, they will.
They go and they either don't answer me, there's no reply, or they're like, oh, sounds like a personal problem. Yeah, it's a personal problem. That's what it is.
Yeah, the cops will love to have an opportunity to shoot you.
No, they surely would.
When I got raided the third time, I was on the back porch smoking a cigarette, and I'm out on bond, and they come, a bunch of counties and different departments and shit. It wasn't just the local cops, but they came around all their fucking tactical shit with their Air-15s around, in a single file line around both sides of the house.
Yeah.
And one dude's telling me to lay down, and the other dude's telling me to put my hands on my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys gotta fucking talk to each other. Yeah. I'm getting down like this.
The guy my sister dated, the one that was like super felon. He eventually started taking my advice. I was like, I said, you gotta stop messing with these. I was like, I don't know, maybe if you want to hit it and quit it here and there, but I was like, you got to stop having girlfriends. You're just going to be in and out of jail for the rest. And he started taking my advice.
Did he stop going to jail?
Yeah, he hasn't been in jail in a long time. But
he gave up women.
The last time listen to this. The last time he went to jail, he had his own place, and his ex-girlfriend, one of the mother of his other kid. He's got two kids. The mother of his other kid, not my sister, was over, And she started nagging at him. And wouldn't shut up. And he said, "Get the fuck out." She wouldn't leave. So she went out on the deck, and she was on her phone. He takes a chainsaw. He starts it up. She's leaning on the railing, and he comes out, and he cuts the railing, and she falls off the second story porch and lands on the grass down below. She falls like 15 feet or something like that. And
she was leaning on it the whole time.
Yeah. He cuts the railing with a chainsaw. So she calls the police. The police come, and the same thing. Three police come, and they're and they're like he's out on the back, or he's like standing there. They come in his apartment, and this is what he told me. So he basically, what they said, come, you told him, come on over here. Or they're like, put your hands behind your head. So he was like that. And then they're like, come on over here. So he like walks over, and one of them's like, kneel down. And he like kneels down. And as soon as he kneels down, one of them just whack hits him in the back or something with the billy club. So he just got up and he just beat the shit out of all three of the police, man. They started wrestling and went out onto the.
Those were some shitty cops.
Went out on. Oh, he's a tough dude. He is a tough motherfucker. Dude, I've seen him do like superhuman. I've seen him do stuff that you see in comic books. I'm not kidding. Him and his uncle. I saw his uncle throw a guy that his uncle probably weighs like maybe, I don't know, 210, 220. I saw his uncle throw a guy that was like 250 pounds, like 15 feet in the air over my head. Like,
sounds like you found the leaders of the next man revolution.
Over my head. He threw the guy. I was like, whoa. And the dude like landed on the dude landed flat on his back I was sitting at the bottom of a cement stairway. It was fucking crazy. But anyway, so he got one of their walkie-talkies out, smash, concussion. Then his hand was on the railing, and another one went bang, smack. His pointer finger till this day is flatter than all his other fingers. They just flattened just hit his pointer finger so hard he flattened it. But it didn't stop him. He bit that cop like real. He bit that cop right here, like pretty much bit that whole piece like right out between his thumb and his foot. That web.
That's awesome.
This web right here.
Uh-huh.
On there. This web right there. He just bit that right out. Just bit it right off. And the guy was like, and then he picked that guy up and flipped him over the railing, and that guy went flying down and on and on. But then the last guy hit him really hard in the back of the head and cracked his skull right open, and he basically woke up in the hospital. And then, of course, as soon as he got out of the hospital, right to jail. And then when he was in jail, the girl, his ex went in and said she lied, and she wouldn't get out of his apartment and this and that. And the judge said to him, straight face, listen, the judge said to him, look, he got an innocent finding, and the judge, this is what the judge said to him. He said, we know you're innocent, but you got a bad record. So we're sending you to jail anyway.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nope. So he went to jail.
Prison.
I think he went upstate, but he got out early. He did get out early, and on good behavior. And the last time he went to jail, someone owed him $50. He flattened their tire, and the judge said to him, "You're going to get a lawyer." And he said, "Why would I get a lawyer?" He said, "Last time I was in here, I got a lawyer. I got an innocent finding, and you threw me in jail anyway." He said, "I'm not going to pay you guys one fucking dime." He said,
"What was the charge?"
And the judge said, "Okay, you're, continuation without a finding," and let him go. So,
but surely the judge convicted him of something, like on paper when he went to jail. You can't just get booked in on an innocent charge. They put something on it.
That's what he says they did, man. They put him in jail anyway.
There's a question for you.
I think these judges do pretty much whatever they want. What?
What social media do you consume? Probably Reddit. Reddit seems
I
like
watch a
everywhere.
lot of movies now because I'm unemployed for the first time in my life, taking free money, and I'm not
Me
ashamed.
too.
Not ashamed one bit of it.
I'm enjoying myself.
Yep, it's the first. I'm doing whatever I want whenever I want, and I'm the one good thing that came out of my marriage is my parents bought us a house, but my mother did not trust her, so she would never put it in my name. And lucky she didn't, because all that went down and we got divorced. And so then they put it in my name. So what I've done is I turned the whole bottom floor, or I turned the whole upstairs into its own apartment. I I made one of the bedrooms a kitchen, rewired all the because the outlets weren't made to weren't made to handle a toaster oven, or you know what I mean, or George Foreman grill or something like that. It kept tripping the circuits down in the basement. So I just drilled some holes in the floor and ran some wire up and put some PVC pipe up, all the way up to the second floor with a extension with with a power strip, and basically some outlets. And so I have my own kitchen now. I have my own kitchen. Basically what I'm trying to say is I rent out the downstairs to somebody, so I have a nice steady income, and I live in the upstairs. So even when my unemployment kicks out, I'll probably still have an income.
Yeah, I've got some things in the works. I'm hoping to not to. Yeah, like I don't ever want to have a boss again.
If you have your own house or place, man, subletting is a good way, but finding good people is I'm telling you, the more.
Is there a MGTOW forum where you can get renters from?
This is where you're going to hear me say it's not all women. You know what I mean? It is not all women.
And that is really good to hear, because that's one of my beefs with MGTOW is like, it's so one-sided.
No, the morality of the country in general has slipped. It's just that women, more often than not, get a free pass, and you don't.
It sounds like the judge's morality is the fucking first slip there.
Yeah,
these are men. The judge, the cops, these are all men. Women are just exploiting. Women just have the ability to exploit that lever. That is true. They do have a better time. Certainly, if they call in a domestic disturbance, like you're going to jail. That just is what it is. But that's men doing that shit. That's just shitty people being shitty people. That's why you should light them on fire.
Well, I've had enough with the courts and all that, and I've gotten out of jail by, like, it's kind of a game of numbers. Like, if you get it, a lot of it does depend on the judge, and it shouldn't. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I've escaped. I've walked through the minefield a couple, like 3-4 times now, and came out unscathed. And now I have things like firearm. Like since I didn't, when I knew my ex-wife, I didn't have firearms. So the police didn't have to come with the restraining order and say, hey, we have to take all your firearms, because that's usually what would happen. But since then, I've gotten firearms. So now I'm super careful about letting a woman into my life, because I don't want the police coming. I don't want her just saying some bullshit about me and have the police come in and take my guns, take my Second Amendment right away. I just don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
They took mine. Rest in peace.
That sucks, man. That's what I'm talking about. I almost think a good portion of this is being used to disarm men.
Mm-hmm. And take away. I mean, yeah. The most telling thing, I think, is that felons lose voting rights. At least here where it is, it's during the duration of your, until your sentence is completed.
Back in the day, once you served your sentence, they gave you your guns back too.
Yeah, well, they didn't do that. I haven't gotten my guns back. I can vote again, but yeah, I mean, what could possibly be more telling than not letting somebody have a part in the democratic process.
Yeah, right.
But prisons are just the new slave labor. That's what the whole thing's about.
Yeah, I don't vote anymore for except on issues. I vote on I voted. I vote if I see an issue come up. I don't vote for politicians or people. I vote on the issues. So if like I voted to legalize marijuana in Massachusetts, I signed the petition and all of that to get it on the ballot. Just stuff like that. But I don't. The last president I voted for was George Bush Jr. back in like 2000. What was it? Or what was it? 19. What was he? He was president 19. I think I voted for him his second term. He was in 2 terms, wasn't he? George Bush Jr. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I voted for him his second term. So, and then I stumbled into the social media and basically red pill information, not on relationships, but on the government. And I realized, oh, the George Bush, the Bush's own, what was the name of that? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. They own DuPont and that war contracting company, Carlyle. They own Carlyle Group and DuPont, and who made helped make marijuana illegal, and Dick Cheney owns another. They're all. I was like, these guys are just making money. I was like, I basically found out how bad the Republicans were, as well as the Democrats, and I became kind of an independent, and I haven't really voted for. I didn't even vote for Trump.
I consider myself an anarchist, but I don't flaunt that word around a lot because there's a lot of commie little black bloc kids who think they're anarchists, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're quite the opposite.
Right. Yeah, I'm just I'm kind of I'm 50 years old now, and I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to lay low and watch where everything's going, because it seems like a lot of the stuff that do you remember back around 2010 when 2012 was coming, and the whole Mayan prophecy and it was like every year there was a new.
It seems like they're 10 years off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like yeah. That's what I'm trying to say is like every year since since 2008, 2010, I watch YouTube, and there's tons of videos on like, oh, they're sending tanks and armored vehicles on train tracks all over the country, and Walmarts have barbed wire, and they're doing this military exercise and that, and they're going to take over, and oh, look, here's pictures of concentration camps. So I was like, oh, the shit's going to go down this year. Oh, and then the next year, oh, the shit's going to go down this year. And it never did. But now with this pandemic, things are really heating up. It seems to be turning into the vaxxers versus the anti-vaxxers. So I think it finally is kind of I think it like what we've been all talking about and expecting is basically finally happening. So I'm just trying to
these social conflicts, like vaxxers, anti-vaxxer, trans versus anti-trans, all these social dichotomies, I believe are purposely engineered
for sure
to distract people away from the fact that the dollar, the Federal Reserve, is a Ponzi scheme, and it has been from its initiation, and the dollar is unsustainable and it's going to collapse. So they're just distracting people from the fucking money issue.
Yes, yeah,
which is why we're all getting robbed.
A lot of the MGTOW won't talk about that stuff. They just talk about women.
That's the most important thing to talk about.
There you go. Right. See, that's what I'm trying to say is I can't prove it, but I feel like MGTOW channels like mine will get censored, and MGTOW channels that make a bad example, they'll somehow get hundreds of thousands of subs, and that, like, it's hard to explain.
Well, if you're talking about politics and shit, then yeah, for sure. I just I was rolling on 2 strikes for a minute, but I just rolled back down to 1.
What was your channel about? Because I never watched it. What was your channel?
You know what? It sort of
talking about
floats. It floats around, kind of whatever I want to talk about at the moment. It's personality typing, psychology is where it started, and lately though it's drifted much more into sort of current events because they're happening quickly.
Right. Yeah. See, you've sensed it too, man.
Well, I've got an economics degree, and I was a commercial banker for 7 years, so I'm pretty versed in economics, and most people aren't, which is intentional and a tragedy because people really need. If people understood basic economics, the whole world would fit into place so much better. There's a method or a rhythm.
I try. I'm a bit of a caveman, but I try. I'm making money off the silver right now as we sit here,
Man.
and
Yeah,
and if I would have probably spent even a.
Please tell me that you're getting coins and not buying it on Robinhood.
Oh no, I got coins. They're in my safe.
Good man.
I bought about $700 worth of Mercury dimes pre 1960, so that they're guaranteed to be silver. I think it was like 1964 they started doing like silver plated or something like that, or
I don't know. I just buy the 1 ounce coins.
they started mixing it with nickel and all that crap. But if you go pre 1964 or 62, it's the coins are 90% silver. So, but I would be the God. I'll tell you, man, I kick myself, but I would be a millionaire right now if I would have bought $300 or $400 worth of Bitcoin, basically. And I knew about it.
That the whole thing's going to collapse.
Well, there's no reason for me not to, because I knew about it like back in 2010 or whatever, when Max Kaiser was going on the Alex Jones show and going, "Oh, Bitcoin, we're all going to be rich," and blah, 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 blah. He's like a little leprechaun. You know who Max Kaiser is? If you're
familiar,
if you're into the market and all that, but he started pushing Bitcoin, and I told my friends about it, and some of them made thousands of dollars, but they cashed out before it really took off. So I might have done that too. I might have cashed out before it took off.
I've been making some money in crypto, but
I'm just saying I probably would have saw $10,000 and went, oh, and just grabbed it up and sold it all off, you know.
Here's my thing. I don't know how much you pay attention to it, but XRP. I think XRP is going to go to the moon Thursday afternoon.
All right, maybe I'll buy some. What do you think about Ethereum?
I personally believe that all the cryptos, I think the central banks are gonna implement central bank digital currencies once people are used to the concept, and they're gonna take over the market and they're gonna ban everything else. I think XRP will survive because it will be used to facilitate exchanges between central banks. Right. I think everything else is going to go down, and most of them are Ponzi schemes to pull the wealth out of the American public, really. So I think I've made money in all of them. I think right now markets are doing stuff so you can make some money, but really the only thing I'm going to sit in for any length of time is XRP. I've got a chunk of money in that. It's either gonna go to the moon, I'm gonna get rich, or it's gonna lose all its value.
Let me write that down. We'll go look into it. I don't want to forget XRP. All right, I haven't heard of XRP. I've heard of Doji and all these other ones. Never heard of XRP before.
It's on the Ripple network. XRP is the coin on the Ripple network, and the SEC filed a lawsuit against them. This is a whole long story, so I won't go into it. But the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple for being security. They have a court hearing on Wednesday or on Thursday morning that is looking really good for them. So I think there'll be good news coming out of that, and it's going to go to the moon. Right now, it's not listed because on American exchanges. So what I have to do is I go to I use the crypto.com to buy Litecoin. Then I transfer Litecoin to KuCoin, which is an exchange that you can get it on in America, but you got to kind of
Litecoin to KuCoin.
I use crypto.com.
Yep.
And I buy Litecoin.
Yep.
Then I transfer the Litecoins to KuCoin.
Well, how do you spell KuCoin?
KuCoin.
CuIN.
And then when I'm in KuCoin, I use the Litecoins to buy XRP.
KUC. What is that?
KU.
Yep. Oh, KuCoin. Okay,
Yeah.
KuCoin. Okay,
Mm.
got it. All one word. All right. So, all right, I'll look into that. I'm trying to think about getting at least trying to make a little bit of money off of crypto while I can. I bought my silver at 17. It's riding at like I said, I bought about $700 worth at 17, and it's at 27. Went over 27 yesterday. So I've already made a fairly decent profit. I don't see any reason why silver shouldn't be five. If gold is
Silver is so manipulated.
Dude, if gold is up in the thousands, then there's no way silver shouldn't be at like 100 or 500 even.
Especially with the inflation that's happening, and with the amount of industrial silver demand that it takes to put up 5G towers and make electronics for everything. Like, yeah, silver should be fucking way higher, but it's a good time to take advantage of the manipulated market of silver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I might buy more. I don't know. I lucky for me, I must be tapped into something because right before the whole ammo situation, I just got a really bad feeling. I was like, because I had guns, but I didn't have a lot of ammo. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, let's get on Target Sports USA and start splitting cases of 9 mil. You know, my favorite, my favorite, my favorite caliber is 45. But when I was going for my LTC, my father, who knows me, because he was like, what are you going to get for your first gun? And I was like, oh, I'm going to get a 45 caliber, and then I'm going to buy this gun, I'm going to buy that gun. And my father was like, that's all great and everything, but you're not going to be able to afford ammo for those guns. He said you're going to basically your guns are going to basically be clubs, and you're going to have a bunch of billy clubs in your gun safe, he says.
And I mean, I like 9mm. I'm
I
a
like
9mm generation. A Glock 19 is just it's a black square, but it's hard to beat.
Yeah, I went with 9 mil because my father talked me into it. He said, "Buy yourself a 9mm."
What'd you get?
I got the Smith and Wesson. It's
Uh,
never jammed on me. And
I had a Smith & Wesson Shield 9 that I loved.
The M&P Shield 9, no safety is what I got.
See,
if I pull it out, it's going boom.
Yep. I had one of those. I liked it a lot. Great gun for the price.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I got the PC9, which is compatible. You can change the receiver out. It comes with the part so that you can put a 30-round Glock clip in it if you want to.
Those things feed weird at the top.
Yeah. The PC9s, the Ruger.
Well, the 30 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like if you load it to like 25,
yeah,
it'll be fine. 20 works good every time. Once you start getting over 25, though, it's just going to feed weird. That's a lot of spring tension.
Yeah, my father told me don't max out your clips. He keeps everything at half. His magic number is 5. He keeps 5 rounds in every clip, and then he knows. Are
they 1911s?
He likes his favorite gun is the 45 caliber 1911. He's got like an old standard military issue Colt 45, and I think he's thinking about getting he might be thinking about getting a 357 revolver. I think I talked to him recently. I don't know. He's looking for another revolver, but
you keep the bullet shells with you. You don't have to go looking for them.
You should hang out with my dad. Yeah, he's like, that's what he told me. He said if you get a revolver, you don't got to pick up your shell casings, and the likelihood of it jamming is a little less ever.
Yeah.
If you got an internal hammer, you don't even have to really worry about it. But yeah, so basically I bought about a few thousand rounds worth of ammo, and then it was like bang, like right after that the whole ammo thing started. I was like, oh, thank you God.
See, and obviously I'm not allowed to own guns, and I would never violate any sort of rules arbitrarily. But during the ammo thing, I made a hell of money off that, by just buying and flipping ammo. I was
Yeah.
already so familiar with like arms list and just the gun sort of network that
Yep.
I just knew how to work that and made a lot of money.
Right. Cool. And I bought a lot of food recently. I took my stimulus check and I spent about $1,000 on storable food. So I could say if I spread it out and only ate a meal a day, I probably have food for a few years.
If you only eat one meal a day and you're going your own way and not having sex, you're gonna be the most miserable, angry old fucker.
I already am. No, sure. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm fairly positive for my situation. I almost feel like because my views are so quote radical that because I believe in higher power, I believe in God. Obviously, I already said that. That I almost believe. I mean, can you picture me at parent-teacher meeting? I've already told you how I talked to the judge.
Yeah, I'm sure you're a fucking nightmare.
Oh, I went to I went with my ex-wife to some of with her kids, and they just had nothing. They just couldn't even say anything to me. They were just like, yeah, okay, like, I can't remember some of the things I said to them, but I basically reminded them of my history with the schools when they were picking on our kids. I was like, yeah, well, you guys failed me, and I work in the medical field now, and I do a job that requires a pretty high IQ and very meticulous. I work in the medical field. I have to be so meticulous with detail, and
you can ventilate them to death.
I can't, and I have to follow the HIPAA oath. I can't talk about my patients outside of work. Where I was working, I've had people I know get treatment there, and outside of work they talk to me, and I have to be very careful talking to them that I don't, because they ask me, oh, what do you do, and this and that, to be very careful. I can't divulge I try not even to say. I didn't even want to tell them what I knew about them and their medical records, because I don't trust people, and I didn't want somebody that going to work and then having my boss bring me in the office and be like, oh, one of the patients said that you were talking about their personal, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not, I'm trying to say is like everything in my life is an indicator that I'm a stable, hardworking, responsible, upright, law-abiding citizen.
And an American.
So, and if talking like Thomas Jefferson or George Washington is a radical.
Thomas Jefferson was suave as fuck.
Or Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was supposedly shot and stabbed so many times that he had a stroke. And by the time he was an old man, he would just sit there and rant and be like, oh, fucking kill. Like you couldn't even understand him because he was like paralyzed in half of his face, and he would just sit there and just fucking kill him. I'll kill everybody. Like, basically, you know what I mean?
So what you're saying is you're a patriot.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, I'm a true patriot. When I start talking like that, even my father, who was in Vietnam, has to leave the room. He can't even. I'm like what I'm trying to say is my father, who was in Vietnam and flew helicopters into hell.
I've always wanted to fly a helicopter. That's a bucket list thing.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Who are these veterans that will fly helicopters into hell, but then they'll come home and let they'll let the court system and their wife say they're unstable and fucking, and get a restraining order on them and take their kids from them in a court of law. You know what I mean? Like who are, in other words, I start saying to my father, I'm like, because 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 how do I explain this? Because I've been brainwashed my whole life that everything, once again, this whole country's based on truth. And
Well, you know better than that now.
and so right, and so when and so like I basically, I rub it in people's faces every now and then. I'm like, well, Dad, I would just basically say right to my father, well, Dad, I know you killed a bunch of people in Vietnam and la di da, but thanks for fucking nothing. Thanks for fucking nothing. You live in a cut you right here, right here in America. Right here in America, I say right here in America, you've never met your own grandkids. Maybe if I grew up in Vietnam, I bet you I'd be meeting I bet you if I grew up in Vietnam, I'd be raising my young boys right now.
He's probably got other kids in Vietnam.
And I'm like, so what the fuck are we gonna do about it, huh, Dad? What are we gonna fucking do about it? Oh, nothing. He runs away. He runs into.
Does he drink?
Yeah, he drinks a little bit.
Do you drink?
I way less than him. I drink maybe a beer every week or two.
So you're still quite on the sober.
Yeah, sober.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I smoke.
You should get drunk sometimes.
I do. I'm at the point now where my kids are going to be 18 in 2 years. So why bother fighting now? And I hope they come and see me. That's all I can really do. And at least they know who I am now. She almost got away with never letting them meet me at all. So I will at least say I foiled her there. I foiled her plan there. So now they know who I am and where I'm at. And when they're 18, they can find me on Facebook and come and see me if they want to. Because I'm sure they'll get kicked out of the house when the child support stops rolling in. So
well, if you're on the government cheese right now, is she getting child support?
Yeah, they take it out of my
no shit.
Yeah, they take it out of my unemployment. I would get $400 a month. I only get like a couple hundred, or I would get $400 a week.
File for
I only get a couple hundred a week or whatever, huh?
I need to file for child support. I feel like I'm leaving a lot of money on the table here.
Yeah, well, good luck getting a woman to pay child support, and even if good luck with that.
I've had pretty good luck with all my divorces and custodies and.
Yeah, my nephew spent thousands of my parents' money, and I probably could have went that route, but I'm sick of spending my parents' money. They spend it on college.
Look, somebody's got to spend it right now before it's worth nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying to store up food for them because I keep telling them, you better buy food, and they're not buying food. So I'm trying to get enough food to feed them. So my parent, I'm trying to get enough food.
Do you have a garden?
Every month I buy more food, and I have seeds for a garden, and I have enough food to get through several seasons until I can figure out how to be a good farmer. But point is I'm trying to get enough food for all my family, so my family isn't trying to kill me if there's a food shortage, and I can feed them.
Well, your dad's going to kill you because you're a dick to him. He's going to get that revolver. He's going to be like, say one more fucking thing, boy.
Yeah, man. Me and my father have had some pretty crazy conversations since this all started. And like I said, I tried to warn. They're not as bad as they used to be now. Now here we are. It's 2021, and pretty much everything I said to them's come true. So now they give me a lot more leniency. They're just almost everybody in my family now is like, well, Stuart, everything you said happened. They're like, so, hey.
It's hard
it's a bitter victory. I didn't want to be. I would rather have been insane. I would rather have.
Well, don't worry.
I would have rather have been
we don't need to rule that out.
No, I really would have rather have been insane. No, my mother tried to take me to a psychiatrist when I started talking about all this stuff. And have me committed, and the psychiatrist was like, no, he's perfectly stable, and everything he's saying is backed up with facts. He's right. He's pretty much right. And that really pissed my mother off. Then we got in a fight, and once again she called the police, and the police like I was saying in one of your comments, the police told her, just say he hit you. Just say he hit you and we'll get you a restraining order. And my mother fell for the bait and brought me to court and told the judge that I hit her. And so dude, I'm telling you, man. So, and then
You didn't
later,
hit your mom, did you?
and then, huh?
You didn't hit
Well,
your
no,
mom, did you?
no, she punched me in my face actually about 15 times. I was like, Ma, you
Probably
look.
for your fucking lip.
I went, well, no, it was a pretty stupid argument, but I was standing my ground anyway. And, and I was like, Ma, you look pretty mad. Like you want to hit me. And she was just, go ahead. And she went, bah, 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 and she punched me in my face like 5 times. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess you really did want to hit me. Then she called the police and said I hit her. The police told her to. The police said, just say he hit you. So she admitted to that later when my wife said I hit her, and I was like, Mom, now you really fucked me over. I got a record. I was like, she didn't press charges, but she got a restraining order on me. So I go, Mom, you made me look bad. Now I got a restraining order.
Now you got to kill her.
In the system, no, the court. Now I have a record of hitting my mother because of you. You've basically made it so everyone thinks I hit my mother, and now my ex-wife's gonna throw me in jail. So my mother wrote a letter saying that she lied and that the police coaxed her into saying that I'm telling you, man, I'm so sick of this society, man. I don't care what anybody says, and I was able to use MGTOW as a platform to talk about mine and many other men's issues, like even my nephew. He's like, well, I got custody of my kids. He goes under the condition that I don't let the mom have visits. And I said, oh, so what you're telling me is that you don't really have custody of your kids, and because you can't make decisions. You can't make, if you're the father and you have full custody and you want to give the mom supervised visits, you should be able to do that. And he can't do that, or they'll take the kid. So he even has custody and he doesn't have custody. And he knows what I'm talking about because he's been through it now. And I've come to and as long as us men put up with this, none of us own our kids. And if the courts say come take them, the police will come take them. And if you got a problem with it, like you said, the police will enjoy being heroes and filling you full of lead.
So that's why we need to only fuck our fleshlights.
I did a video where I stuck up for that Antifa guy who his wife, he didn't do it. He was like the Antifa, I forget his name. It was all over. It was like 2015, I want to say 2017, 2018. The firearms instructor for the Antifa, he was one of their, his wife said he was dangerous and got a restraining order on him, or she wanted to send the kid to a school that he didn't agree with, and she went to the police, said he was dangerous for his ideologies, and got his kid taken away from him. And he went to that school and said, no, I'm going to see my kid. What I'm trying to say is this Antifa guy, I did a MGTOW video on how this Antifa guy has more balls than all the right wingers, because he went to the school armed and said, no, I'm going to see my daughter, and got into a physical altercation with the police, and the police shot him. He tried to get his gun out, and the police, pinned his gun arm down and shot him and killed him. And I was like, there you go. That Antifa guy got bit in the ass by one of his own ideologies that he's fighting for, which is feminism. His wife was able to just say he was dangerous, no criminal record, take his kid from him, and then he went to go see the kid and he got killed by the police. He was ready to shoot the police, basically. So, I have to give that Antifa guy credit, man.
And you just told me that story, and the only thing I heard is like, you will indiscriminately support men.
I want
That
men.
dude's a fucking nut job.
I want men to well, no, the courts pretty much mainly support women, and I want men to stand up, and I don't want men to do it quite like that because it doesn't do anything when one guy goes down and acts like a maniac and gets shot by the police.
Yeah, it's a bad plan.
But if 20,000 men that have all been through this bullshit get together and surround a police station of 300 or a courthouse of a few hundred and with overwhelming numbers and say, no, you're not going to do this anymore. And if anybody here calls me with a report that you isolated one of them and got him in jail, we're gonna break in your jailhouse and we're gonna physically take him from you, and we're gonna use lethal force on anybody that gets. I want men to start being men in this country and putting the authorities on notice. No, you're not the boss. We're the boss.
And what I want is men and women to work together like they have throughout all of history, instead of looking at each other as opposing teams and then tell the courts and the cops to fuck off. We don't
right. And if the women don't want to get in on it, well, we'll leave them no other option but to join us, basically, because the police will be like, no, they came down here with 20,000 guys and I don't want to get my head kicked in. So you better go back to your husband and smooth things out with them because we're not going to protect you anymore. I want the police to be shaken in their and because trust me, okay, say whatever you want. There's studies that prove this. If a man is beating on a woman even if it's in self-defense, pretty much he better be ready to fight every man in the fucking vicinity, because
I would fight a man beating a woman because it's not still self-defense.
Well, you can watch these studies. Go look them up. It's mainstream news where two actors, a male and a female, will act like they're fighting. And when the male is pulling her hair and pushing her and smacking her, everybody in the vicinity is ready to beat up the male. Good. But then they'll do it right on college campuses all over the place. But then they'll show the female beating on then they'll make the female the aggressor. Nobody knows what's going on. It's a social experiment. And the female will be smacking the male, pulling his hair, yanking on his ears, yelling at him, "Why'd you talk to her? Why'd you talk to her?" And everyone will laugh. And as soon as the male actor goes like this and grabs her hand and pushes him off of her, every guy, like 3 or 4 big guys, will be right there, like, "Oh, what? Oh, what are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do?" And they have to go, No. We're just acting. I'm just acting. This is just an experiment." Because every guy.
Yeah, those are the bouncers. There's always the overactive bros who are like the strip club bouncers.
Right. You know? What I'm trying to say. Yeah, there's always those. So what I'm trying to say is all this bullshit about men deserve this because in the past men were doing this and doing that, I call bullshit. Women have always garnered more sympathy. And if there's some guy in the community that's really beating the shit out of his wife and kids for no reason because, "Oh, you burnt the coffee, bitch," smack, and, "Oh, this food, what is this food? This is crap." Smack, and "Get over here, you little." If that was going on, every guy in the community would be chomping at the bit to punch this guy's face in.
It's a matter of capacity. It's the same reason that if somebody gets bit by a Chihuahua, nobody bats an eye. But if somebody's getting bit by a Rottweiler, people pay attention.
Right.
A dude can fuck up a woman real fast.
That's what I'm saying.
Most women cannot fuck up dudes.
Right. And
so I mean, there's a real reason for that aside from just cultural whatever,
I don't know. Self-defense is self-defense. Women use weapons a lot, and if you even just this is my gripe with martial arts and all this stuff is if somebody even pushes you, there's cases where someone gets pushed over and they land and they hit their head just right on the corner of a coffee table or the corner of a cement curb, and they're dead, just like that. Bang. You know what I mean? So if anybody puts their hands on you, male or female, I don't care. They're putting your life in danger. Period. And
well, I mean that's a principled approach that's just not reflective of the risk profiles of each situation.
no, but it is. What do you mean?
I mean,
it's not always going to happen, but it can happen, and it
but
happens.
at all else equal, a woman is at way greater risk if she's being beaten by a man.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if a man's beating like I know guys where the women. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I know guys where women are beating on them, and they're like, or they just push. Either they'll. I know guys where the women are beating on them, and they just push the girl out of the way so they can get out of the house, and she just calls the cops, says he hit her, and next thing you know, it's the guy who's I've had guys stop at my house. Literally, like, hey, police are looking for me. Can I come in? I'm like, oh, Jesus, what happened now? Oh, my girlfriend was yelling at me, screaming at me, smacked me in the face. I just pushed her out of the way. She wouldn't let me out of the house. I pushed her out. I like physically got her out of the way. She called the police, said I put my hands on her. So now there's a restraining order. There's a warrant out for my arrest. And I'm like, oh, better go down and face the consequences, basically. And so what I'm trying to say is I understand what you're saying, but it still doesn't rule out that, like, basically the system white knights for the women, even a lot of times when the women are wrong. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't. And like even this there was one study where even an undercover cop, this girl, these two actors, you can look this is like the most famous study. A male and a female were doing that, where the woman was beating on the man and everybody was laughing. Even an off-duty cop walked by and said and didn't do anything. The woman's assaulting a man in public. An off-duty cop walks by, and then at the end of the news clip, the news lady's interviewing the cop. She's like, so you're a cop, why didn't you do anything? And he's like, oh, I don't know, it's just the way I was brought up. You never put your hands on a woman for anything. So that cop just walked by a woman committing a crime right in front of him, beating on a guy, and didn't do anything about it. And that type of stuff has to stop, man.
So one thing that we agree on through and through is that cops are pieces of shit.
Apparently. And if you're messing around with women, you're you know what I mean.
I'm messing around with their vagina.
You're just put there. Those odds keep building up where you're gonna have you're gonna have what do you call it you're gonna have a situation with law enforcement basically in your life.
I think that without women, I know for a fact I would have so many more situations in my life. Plus, who wants to live their life with, like your dick in a coconut or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what success at MGTOW looks like. It's got to be.
Are you just some kind of pervert that like it's all about your sexuality? Or I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just put it like that. I'm not trying to be mean.
No, and I'll say, yeah, like we're not gonna just sideswipe this thing and act like.
I'm just saying, like, I'm a very spiritual individual, and I'm trying to not contribute to the mess anymore. And I'm trying. I guess I'm monk mode. I'm in what's called monk mode, but I'm trying to tell you that I'm not up here just picking on women, man. I talk about the men too. And I do talk about how, I wish I could, like, if men were more like looking out for each other the way I wish they were, instead of, because what I see is, this is my problem with men, is they'll, like guys like you, they'll just let good guys go down and go to jail and be like, oh, that's all too bad. Sorry. Nothing you can do about it. Sorry. That's just the way, hey, Taylor, that's just the way it is now. Sorry. You can't vote anymore. Sorry. I wish men would stick up for each other, and then I would get involved. I'd be like, no, I'll go out there and fucking get married again and pop out more babies. I would be all for it. I just want men to, I want, like, women have no problem getting together as an aggregate. They've turned the whole country. The reason we're,
women can't do a goddamn thing with two of them. Women hate each other.
well, what I'm trying to say is the women had no problem making it this way. Okay, I'll tell you, I already did the research. I don't know if you've done the research. The reason
I have
why,
not.
well, here, I did the research. The reason why, I forget the case, it's a famous case. It happened in the UK like 400 years ago when supposedly women had no rights and nobody listened to women.
The good old days.
The good old days. No, this is why I call bullshit. Back like 400 years ago, when supposedly nobody cared about women, one single female, her husband ran off with the kids on her and wouldn't let her visit him. She was a rich guy, and he took off to like his estate somewhere, divorced or separated from her. And she managed to single-handedly get the legislation passed that women get full custody
When was this?
of all small children and infants. And then that spread from the UK over to America, and it's been like that here in America ever since, where if you know that women automatically, out of wedlock especially, get full custody of
That sounds like folklore. It sounds like MGTOW.
No, it's a real case. You can look it up. I can't remember the lady's name, but it's a real case.
Well,
and that has set the guideline. And then men's right, MGTOW came about because a lot of guys that were in men's rights and who have been fighting this, who have been getting together, I don't think they were radical enough. I think once they realized nobody cared, they should have got their guns out. But they gave up, and they all just said, nope, nobody. We've been fighting this for 20 years. Women are able to lie in divorce court. They're able to use no-fault divorce. You don't even have to do anything wrong. Just, I don't love them anymore. Say they're, and then
that goes both ways.
It does go both ways, but particularly only men usually get the short end of the stick in divorce, so they generally try not to get divorced. And then when you get mad,
I love my divorce.
When you get mad and call her up and be like, "You fucking bitch, you're gonna take my kids," they just go, "Oh, I'm afraid for my life," and they get a restraining order. You know what I mean? It's this constant cycle that I see, and the women. What I'm trying to say is, women have, as an aggregate, they're not doing anything. They cry about injustice all day, but they're not doing anything about the fact that they have the upper hand in that situation. And so I just want men, all these men that are like, "What are you talking about? Get in there, come on, hook up, smash them bitches pussies." Why don't they, when shit goes wrong, and the guy that they encourage to get involved with these women, why aren't they down there at the courthouse ready to drag their friend out of there? You know what I mean? That's what
why I encourage everybody to only smash buttholes. But for real, like,
let me pour.
I just don't see men banding together and marching around on a principle as any sort of a solution.
I don't want to march around no more.
The solution is obviously for men and women to get along, and
which they will not teach in public school.
No.
They will not teach you. They're not like, "Hey, Billy, Denise is
nothing important."
They're not like, "Hey, Billy,
nothing important.
Really nice girl. You like you."
Look, anything worth knowing, anything important to know, you have to seek the knowledge on your own. They're not going to spoon feed it to you. They have an interest in people being dumb.
What about these so-called? I'm a Christian. I just told you I'm a Christian. I'm about to criticize.
Sounds like you almost said agnostic.
I'm about to criticize the Christians. What about these Christians who are more concerned with their daughter getting good grades in high school and then going on to college and having a career, rather than her getting knocked up and married at 16 and taking care of some kids for a man while he works? That's what I'm trying to say is even the Christians pretty much encourage their their daughters to do well in school and get a career. And I'm just saying,
Well,
any sense of conservatism or traditional Americanism is over in this country, and you're fooling yourself if you think that this is still the 1930s or not,
no,
1890s or something like that.
I do not think any such thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I also don't have any issue with women going to school.
I don't either,
but-
but I ain't trying to marry him. I'm not trying to find some girl with a college degree who's some know-it-all. You know, I have aunts like that. Stuart, you're slouching. Stuart, you know what I mean?
Get up straight.
You know, you know, I'm just saying. I have aunts like that. I have one aunt. Her name's Kaylin. She acts like a man. She's
Kaylin?
like, her husband sits there quiet. Her husband sits there. Her boyfriend sits there quiet while she goes, oh, and that guy came on my land, and I told him, hey, you get off of my land. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, she tells all these, and I'm just sitting there watching these two. This is America now, where the woman sits there and talks like a man, and the guy sits there and goes, oh, sorry, happy wife, happy life. And I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it, man.
Back the fuck up.
I want to see a bunch of George Washingtons walking around like rattlesnakes, ready to bite somebody if they get stepped on. That's what I want.
You know, Benjamin Franklin was a notorious pussy fiend.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
I know George Washington charged into camps on horseback with musket balls flying through his cape, going, rah, rah,
dude, he had his wife with him there,
and hacking people up with a sword while
he had his wife with him. He had his wife with him at most of that shit, though.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, man. You know, where are these fucking men that are ready to be like, oh, you're gonna take my rights away, really? Chop, chop, chop. You know, where are these men? I want to see these men, man. I want to. You know, I want
to see some pirates.
I'm sick. I want to be an American. I want to be a free American that unless I do something really wrong, no police, no cop should ever dude, the way cops are supposed to work and as unless you pretty much police have no reason to even talk to you unless you've done something, unless there's evidence that you've done something really fucking bad. That's what police are for. You know what I mean? Like, and now it's like it's just a slippery slope into having to deal with the police. Oh, you didn't pay your excise tax. I mean, now I'm getting off of relationships. Oh, you didn't pay taxes on the car that you already own. Oh, you didn't pay taxes on the house that you already own. Oh, well, the police and the sheriff are here to kick you the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. You're absolutely right about that.
The police and the sheriffs work for the banks, the DMV, and the insurance companies, and the juryless, unconstitutional divorce and family courts. Now they don't give one shit about protecting you, and the entire society has turned into a slippery slope of having an encounter with law enforcement now, and the system is very predatory. And it's hurting the women too. The women might look like they're coming out on top, but they're not. They're not. Nobody's coming out on top of this.
They're always on bottom with me.
No, they're like, you know, from afar, like, oh, you know, like, oh, girl, oh, go girlfriend and girl power and all that. They're eating it up, but they're basically
girls are like that at all. Like women don't.
A lot of them are. A lot of
women hate each other.
Oh, this one girl, I know. At the end of the day, they are really mean to each other. But the crazy girl that helped me in court, when I used to bring this stuff up, she used to start yelling, "Girl, when she down with the patriarchy, down with the patriarchy." She would cut me off and I'm a warrior, woo! I'm a warrior, woo! And shit like that. And I would just be like, oh my God, man. And it's like, why would you
stop oppressing her?
It's like, yeah, it's the patriarchy that's letting all these women, that's white knighting for all of these nasty women, basically. So when you yell, so ladies, just a little hint, if you really want to get rid of the patriarchy, just be ready to have to to not have the police come in and white knight for you anymore, basically.
And to swallow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the police are pervs and they want to fuck our girlfriends, basically. Just say hit you. They're playing the white knight.
Well, they just think they're big hero. I mean, like they just get pandered to. Like
they're gonna
you're heroes, you're risking your life. Like it's like 10 times more dangerous to be a fucking roofer than it is to be a cop.
Yeah,
and the majority of like the vast majority of police deaths are from traffic accidents.
Yeah,
they have the same risk profile.
Getting run over, sticking their ass out. Yeah, pulling. Yeah, endangering people, pulling people over for speeding. I'm just saying, dude. Like, I woke up and I smelled the BS, and
it smelled like women.
A good portion of it, like, well, I wasn't gay, so I wasn't having problems with men. I have gay friends that, a lot of men, I think, try to solve the issue by being gay. And then you go over their house and they're beating the shit out of each other. I was over I told you I don't like fist fighting, but one of my friends, and you can look him up on YouTube, his name's Joe Cavey. He's a MMA guy.
Joe Cavey?
Joe Cavey. Joe. You know how to spell Joe. And his
give it to me again. Joe.
Joe, and his last name is Cavey. Kavey. Cavey.
Spell Joe again?
Huh?
Spell Joe again?
Joe. Space Kavey. He's the one who's on the run. Dude, he's one of the most masculine guys I know. I would not want to tangle with him. He has put a lot of hours into MMA, and he's a little shorter than me, but he's thick. You know what I mean? He's built like a brick shit house. And what was my
who would win in a fight, him or the dude that bit the webbing out of the cop's hand?
Oh man, Ralph is really fast, man. Ralph is really fast. I've sparred with him, and even though Joe is technically, Ralph is. I think Ralph is the one who's not afraid to hurt people the most and not afraid to go to jail because he's already been to prison several times. So I would probably, unfortunately, put my money on Ralph, not Joe. But I wouldn't put it past Joe to win under the right circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like in a fair fight with rules, Joe would probably win. In a street fight, Ralph would probably do something unexpected and hurt him really fucking bad.
I would shoot them both.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
but with a bow and arrow because I'm a felon.
Yeah, I watched Ralph one time. He was like, we're going to a funeral, like his grandmother died, and he's like, pull over.
Good, one less woman bitching about the patriarchy.
Yeah. So I'm driving him. This is down in Connecticut, and I don't know what it is about Connecticut, but I've met a lot of crazy MFers from Connecticut.
Never been there.
And Yale University is in Connecticut, and we all have heard of the Skull and Bones.
Yeah, fuck Yale.
Fuck Yale. And I heard there's a lot of Satanism down there. If you get down to down southern Connecticut where Yale University is, I heard there's a lot of Satanism down there. But anyway, my point being is I'm down in Connecticut and I'm with Ralph because mainly I'm keeping an eye on my sister, but I'm hanging around with her and Ralph. And so he's like, all right, let's go to this funeral. And he doesn't have wheels, and he won't even get a social security card or a license. He's like completely dropped out of society. So I'm driving, and we get to the funeral home, and he's like, hey, pull over right here. So I pull over, and he's like, that's my cousin. He owes me money. He's like, I'll be right back. And he like fucking gets out of the car. And I'm like looking, I turn around and I can't hear anything because the windows are rolled up. I just see him walk over and I see him talking. I see him talking with his hands like this and, pointing at him. And I see his cousin going, well, da da da. And right in the middle of, while his cousin was trying to explain, I just saw Ralph go, he took his fingers, you know what I mean? And he just went, bah, 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 and jammed it and poked him all, and it just poked his eyes out or poked his eyes up and poked his whole face. You know what I mean? Like just poked his whole face and eyes up. And he went like this, and he went like that and put his hands over his eyes, and Ralph just went bang and knocked him out cold. And the dude literally like he was standing, he folded in half and then fell over sideways. He just fell over. He was like still standing up and he just fell. He like, you understand what I'm saying? Like his top half folded over like this and then he fell over fucking sideways. And I was just like, oh my God. And then all these people came out and I see Ralph, he pulls a screwdriver out of his coat that's like a foot long, and he's just like, yeah, I'll fucking stab you, come on, like that. And everybody just like backed off, and then he came and got in the car, and I was just like, oh my fucking God, man. He's like, get the fuck out of here, and let's get the fuck out of here, and I drove away. But just shit like that. I seen Ralph do some really dirty to people.
You have one thing that I've taken away from tonight is that you have a wild group of friends and family.
No, my sister.
I don't know if I wouldn't be able to hang.
No, my sister was a typical one of these women that I know her, my sister and all her friends. They are these women that I'm talking about. I call my sister on it all the time. She's like, well, because she used to fight me. Well, she used to argue with me and be like, Stuart, you're just being negative. I don't want to hear it. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'd be like, Annette, you fucking partied your whole life, did drugs, and hung around with multiple repeat aggravated felons, and you have custody of both your fucking kids. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And she'd just be like, you know what I mean?
Me too.
Huh?
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm being persecuted for being a good guy, basically.
It's a vast conspiracy. I'm in on it too.
I think if I went and punched her around maybe and smacked some police up, maybe they'd let me see my kids. Maybe they'd be afraid of me.
You're gonna have her look me up on Facebook though, right?
Huh?
You're gonna have your sister look me up on Facebook though, right?
She's married now.
I don't give a fuck.
She got married at like 49 years old. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, man, that you are something in that.
Did you tell her husband to go his own way? Like, man,
I told several of her boyfriends that. I told Ralph that. I told her then. Okay, so I almost killed one of her. I literally almost killed one of her last boyfriends.
Was there any weapons?
He was out of okay, when he first met her, and he's like, all these guys, when they meet my sister, they always, and I'm the brother, and they're trying to make friends with me, and they get me aside, and they're like, hey man, so I'm pretty, I think your sister's really awesome, and I asked her out, and we're going out and all this stuff, and what do you think? And I'm always like, dude, run for the fucking hills, man. And then 6 months, a year later, I hear smash and crash and my sister comes running out of the house with him behind her, chasing her down, and like, okay, this one guy, I still see him around. He's huge. He's a fucking monster. He's like 6'5". He's gigantic, and he was, my sister was breaking up with him, and he was taking it hard, and they were in a fight, and I forget how I found out, but somebody came over and they're like, dude, your nephew's in the basement right now. with Dean, and Dean's fucking, Dean's threatening to kick his ass and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh really? So I grab my knife and I go over there, and I go down in the basement, and I'm like, what's up, Dean? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna kick your whole they all end up wanting to kick my whole family's ass.
What kind of knife was it?
Knife that I made.
It helps me visualize things.
It was a big. I did a video where I showed it in one of my videos. I don't think I took it down. It's like a big long knife, and I can't remember if I put it in the back of my pants or what I did with it. But I was just like, Dean, what's going on? Oh, I'm gonna kick your whole family's ass. And I was like, no, you're not. I was like, that's not gonna happen. And I was like, what you need to do is get away from my sister. Because you're going to end up in jail. Basically, she's going to put you in jail. And he was just like, so we had an altercation, and he calmed down. So then about a few days later, I'm across the street at the store. I did a whole series of videos called MGTOW horror stories that'll make you go MGTOW, where I just told true story after true story after true story of all these types of interactions that I watch go down between men and women. So I'm over at the store, and sure enough, I come out of the store, and I hear my sister scream, and her screen door opens up, and she runs out of the house and gets in her she had a van at the time, and she just starts it up and jams it in reverse, and is like, whoa, and she like smashes into a tree and fucking then jams it in forward and takes off spinning her wheels. And then I see Dean, here he comes climbing out the window in his boxer shorts, and he's like, "Rah!" and he starts chasing the van, and she flies out. We have a wraparound driveway. She flies around the house, comes out the other side, takes off in the van, and I'm standing there, and I just yell across the street. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he turns around and he sees me, and he runs across the street in his boxer shorts to meet me. And I'm like standing on the curb on the other side.
You fought a naked man?
I almost killed him. He was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, and I just pushed him, and he went flying back right into the middle. I wasn't even paying. Why I say I almost killed him is I wasn't even paying attention to if there were cars coming, and I just pushed him, and he went flying back into the road and was like smacked his head on the.
He shouldn't have been running out you in his underwear.
Oh, I'm just saying he was lucky it was a Sunday and there wasn't a lot of traffic, because usually that intersection is fucking chock full of cars, and he probably would have either fell and hit one or got run over by one or whatever. And then he got back up and charged at me, and I just like, I got in my best fighting stance, and I was like, somebody call the goddamn police before I fucking kill this guy. And some guy on his cell phone that was next to me was just like, okay. And as soon as he heard police, he turned around and ran back into the house in his boxer shorts. And I was just like, oh, thank God, because this dude is fucking gigantic. He's fucking huge. And I still see him till this day. And now I'm friends with him, and I talk to him. I act like shit never happened. And he's got a big fancy sports car, and he flies around on his Hayabusa, whatever, motorcycle and all this shit. But now he's fine now, and he's still going. And that was 3 years ago, and he just got out of court a couple days ago. He's still going through. He's still on probation right now over it. And I warned him. I fucking warned him, man. I warned Ralph. I warned him. I warned another guy, Lance, that she was going out with, who eventually the feds came after. This guy was so bad, the feds came after him. The FBI, one of her boyfriends was so bad, the FBI came looking for him because he blew up a gas station stealing gas.
Fuck that gas station.
Huh?
Fuck that gas station.
I know. I'm just saying he blew up a fucking gas station stealing gas because he got a hold of one of the. Apparently, there's universal keys to the pumps. You know what I mean? Where that if you get a key, you can fucking get gas out of any fucking. It's like a skeleton key.
Google.
And he got a hold of one, and the people he was working with was stupid, and one of them lit up a cigarette as they were getting in the van to leave, and the whole fucking gas station fucking blew up with them in the van. They lived. One of them caught on fire, but he didn't burn too bad. They put him out. But the only reason they lived is because they were fucking inside the van. Basically, I'm just telling you, man, these are the guys that I've had to deal with at my whole life. And when I've said, and you know, I feel like 200 years ago, I could have put a bullet in a couple people like that and said, okay, you know, anybody else? And I could have sent a very strong message to the community, and I would have saved my family a whole shitload of trouble, basically, that has been brought on my family. My mother being
Your
up.
family has suffered because of it.
Oh, my mother being up till 2, wondering if my sister's going to come home with her face broken again. You know what I mean? Or if she's going to live, or if he's going to kill her, basically. You know what I mean? Just, you know, if she's going to overdose and be in a gutter. You know what I mean? I could have, my father, I watched my father sit by helplessly while his daughter went out and did drugs and had, you know, 2 kids out of wedlock with basically criminals. And I think 200 years ago, me and my father and our friends would have got together and shot a couple people, and people would have stopped giving my sister drugs.
Well,
you know, that's how that would have went. But we don't live like that anymore. So
you decide how you live. Nobody can tell you how to live but you.
I just want to educate men on and try to get men to grow spines and stand up for themselves.
I also think men should grow spines and stand up for themselves and try to be the sort of men that they would be proud of and that girls will actually want to be with and stay with and stuff.
Or
so I also warn men, or try to, but in sort of a different angle, where I recommend that they find women, because women are good.
So it's 4:21 in the morning.
I gotta go to fucking bed.
Yeah.
It's been a great talk. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
I linked your channel in the comments, and I'll link it in the video description.
I'll sub and I'll watch you, and maybe we'll talk again.
All right, you're my first ever MGTOW conversation, and I don't think there'll be a better one. Thanks again. Later.
Yeah. Later.